Welcome, everyone. Once again, I went for my head like I'm wearing a hat. I've been wearing a hat all day. I'm not wearing a hat right now, but welcome to Monday Night Racing, Season 6, Race 2 of the playoffs. Tonight, you guys are in for some exciting action. It's the high banks of Daytona, ARCA racing cars. Going to be a great show. I apologize in advance for why I'm so bright. I can't work technology after years of doing this. I guess I don't know, the bright lights of Daytona may be a little too bright for me, but hopefully they're not too bright for our drivers here tonight. So in a few moments, qualifying will be taking place. The 43 driver field will be set. If you tuned in last Monday night, 1 week ago, it was Chase Cabrey winning at Richmond in a super late model to lock himself into the second round. But tonight, there are other playoff drivers such as Adam Cabot or last season's champ Presley Sora, Ryan Vargas, David Shieldhouse, who I think we'll talk to in a moment, who are still looking to lock their way in to the round of 8. There you see the point standings on screen. Appreciate that from our producers and team in the booth. But we're going to have a great race tonight. I'm excited for Daytona. It's pack racing. It's sim racing at its finest. It's going to be a great show. Appreciate all of you tuning in. I mentioned just a moment ago, and you saw the standings there, David Shieldhouse kind of facing an upward battle here these next 2 weeks. One of the favorites, I think, coming into these playoffs, but right now not in a great points position after a disappointing result at Richmond. So if we're able to, I think we'll get to talk to David here for just a moment before qualifying kicks off. And yes, David, do you got a copy?
Hello.
Hello. How you doing? How you feeling tonight? Whoa, what's going on?
Well, first and foremost, I just want to give a big shout out to the medical staff. Richmond Raceway could have been a lot worse after last week's horrific crash, flipping into the catch fence and all of that. So, the fine folks over there really did a good job patching me up. Beaten, bruised, cut up a little bit, but the doctors cleared me to race tonight, and I'm going to race tonight. I remember it like it was yesterday. Well, actually, I don't remember it a whole lot, and that was part of the concussion, but still, they cleared me.
I guess, yeah, you get the check on that piece of paper. That's all that matters. Well, we're glad you're putting on a brave face ready to compete tonight at Daytona. That's bold to come back after a scary wreck like that at Daytona, of all places. What do you expect now? Are you going to ride around the back kind of like you did at Richmond last week, or are you going to try and race for the win starting on lap 1?
Yeah, there's an old saying, you can win it on lap 1, so that's what I intend to do.
That's something like that.
Yeah, that's how I remember it. Again, my memory, my head's still a little fuzzy after last week. The week sort of went by like a blur. It felt like just yesterday I was out in Buffalo playing in that game yesterday too. That was a great game yesterday. Barely beat the Dolphins. So it's been a busy weekend, Eric, but I'm focused on tonight here at Talladega in the 87 cars. It's going to be a great show we're going to put on here to start off Season 7 of Tuesday Night Racing. Just, again, really excited to be a part of this and hopefully go out there and shoot for at least a top 2, maybe a 1.5, something like that.
I like the confidence. You sound okay, but maybe you got any teammates out there that might be able to pick you up tonight? I've seen you work well with drivers like Anthony Alfredo in the past. You guys kind of establishing a pre-race game plan in case you're not on your own, maybe quite at 100%.
Yeah, it's always good to have friends out there. I guess that's what those other things out there on the track are. The other guys, they kind of came out of nowhere. Kind of scared me a little bit, to be honest with you. But if Anthony's out there, we'll try to work together. I got a lot of text messages, a lot of phone calls after last week pledging support. It was really sweet. It was really touching. And I just genuinely expect the other 30 whatever guys out there to just ride behind me all night. I think that was the general consensus. They're just going to let me have this one.
I like your confidence. The chat is wishing you well. They hope you have a very clean, safe, and competitive race tonight. David Shieldhouse going for the win tonight at Daytona. Thanks for joining us here before the show.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the show. We'll be seeing you in wherever they do the post-race thing after the person does the thing that we all came here to do.
Awesome. Well, that was David Shieldhouse in a little bit of a points hole tonight, but we all know he knows how to get it done here at Daytona. So before qualifying kicks off, I'm going to turn things over to the three-man booth that's going to be calling most of the action here tonight. We've got Blake McCandless, Jacob Hitz, Kenneth Bueno. Always do a fantastic job. Blake, gentlemen, you guys got me? How's it going, y'all?
I think we got you loud and clear, Eric, and welcome in everybody to the Daytona International Speedway. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, and Jacob Hitz on the call with you tonight as we get set for yet another race in the Season 6 playoffs. We're in the midst of our only round, Kenneth, that has 3 races in it, and tonight is kind of do or die, I think, for a lot of drivers, Kenneth, because we look forward to a road course next week. So if you're somebody like David Shieldhouse who needs a win, you don't quite have it right now, you may not be so confident about the road course next week, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
I was muted a little bit there. I'm still trying to get myself sorted.
We can feel you, Kenneth, though. We got you.
But I like to call this the control round of the playoffs, and specifically this race very important because in this 3-race stretch, you've got the first race where you kind of get your best foot forward or worst foot forward, just depending on how things turn out for you. Though tonight is really the moment where you either rebound from a poor performance last week or you build on that momentum you gained from that first race. In that last race, you do not want to be in a situation, Blake, where you're with your back against the wall and you have to basically go all out 150% to make the next round. This is really the control center, and it's hard to say control and Daytona in the same breath. That's why I haven't used it yet. It's really hard to do so at this track, but you really got to do it if you're in a situation like David Shieldhouse.
You really do, Jacob. And 90 laps at Daytona, lengthy race. And I think the one point that we keep coming back to after these last couple of weeks, we've been so used to this series having fast repairs. That is no longer the case, no longer the privilege for these drivers. No fast repairs, 90 laps at Daytona. That has to be weighing on these drivers' minds.
It's going to be brutal, and I think similar to what we saw in the opening half or so of that Richmond race last week, we're going to see them really take it easy throughout the first several laps here at the high banks of Daytona. We did a race here in a different league a couple of weeks ago. Same cars, same track, different time of day. That was held maybe a little bit earlier on in the day than it is where we're going to have this pretty much at nighttime. And what we saw, 3-wide racing throughout the entire field. The difference was you really couldn't pass. It was gridlock. It's like I-95. You get 3 wide, and there's nowhere to go. You got people in front of you, people behind you, and we didn't wreck a whole lot. Only a couple of cautions here and then, had a couple toward the end of the race. But we had green flag pit stops, a couple of them. And I think we're going to be looking at that tonight, depending on how safe these guys start out the race to drive. You know, no fast repair is crucial. In that league, they had a fast repair, and we still didn't have a lot of wrecks. Tonight, it's all about being clean, and I know guys are going to want to be aggressive. You got to take it easy. 90 laps, no fast repair. You could end your championship hopes tonight. Forget next week. You could end them tonight, depending on what happens around you. And that has got to scare some of the guys on the back of the order as far as points.
It does. And by the way, with those points, let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff grid here in Season 6. You can look down the running order. Of course, Chase Cabrey led coming into the playoffs. He has nothing to worry about for the next couple of races, Daytona and Watkins Glen, as he has locked himself into the round of 8. But Jacob and Kenneth, our eyes are on those drivers who are all the way at the bottom of the field. You're looking at Garrett Smithley, Nick Olson, Presley Sora, and especially David Shieldhouse. They all have some type of ground to make up here tonight at Daytona.
And the biggest mark is easily Presley Sora and David Shieldhouse, who last season, after the first race of the first round, were at the top of the charts. They were both able to find a lot of success early in the playoffs last season. This time around, it's felt like the complete opposite. So for your defending champion, a lot of pressure there to perform here tonight at Daytona. And like we talked about with David Shieldhouse, a lot of pressure there as well. Driver he's made the championship for in prior seasons. So he's really got to do a lot. But you also got to think about guys like Nick Olson, who last season faced a similar situation. He was under the cut line going into the playoffs after the first race last time. Tonight, he's got to get back on track and see what he can do. Same deal with Garrett Smithley, who was a super speedway winner, so maybe that could help, but there's a lot of storylines here, especially at the bottom, Blake, worth noting, and it's going to be interesting how they perform tonight, how they handle this race.
Definitely. So a lot of different storylines, a lot of different situations that these drivers find themselves in, trying to find their way to that championship round to be able to compete for a championship here in Season 6 on the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. It's not the first time that we've been here at Daytona, Jacob, but we've seen many different configurations of it. This is the first time we're at the 2021 scan of this racetrack here, at least going around the oval as far as that's concerned. But take us around Daytona.
Yeah, we were here for the road course race earlier on this season. We were at bumpy Daytona toward the end of the season in Season 5, but here we're on the smooth version where we started Season number 5 in the Sunshine 500, and how this thing works is, well, it's pretty simple. It's fast, it's pretty smooth, and there's not a lot of room compared to Talladega, where we were at just a couple of weeks ago. It's really only about 2.5 lanes wide, maybe a third if you're careful. It's not like Talladega where you can stack them 4 or 5 wide. You go 4 wide around this racetrack and you're probably crashing just because there's not enough racing room to hold everybody in. Plus, you got to keep in mind there is a yellow line rule tonight, so you cannot pass below the double yellow line all the way around the racetrack that separates the racing surface from the apron. You pass down there, you're going to get a penalty.
Definitely need to watch out for that tonight. And after going around Daytona, we can take a look at our race analysis here. 90 laps, only a 75% fuel load, which is going to come in handy here. These guys would be close to making about 2 stops with the way or how much fuel you can go, how long you can go on 2 tanks, or at least what is 75% of 2 tanks and filling all the way up. You have 4 sets of tires, which is not really going to be much of a factor here tonight. Tires definitely not going to make a big difference in pace. It is all about the draft. We've mentioned it a couple of times before. 0 fast repairs, and if we need it, 3 attempts at green, white, checkered overtime is available tonight in the Next Level Racing 225. And Kenneth, we'll take a look at some of our grid rival matchups. Some of our favorite pieces of this broadcast is looking at these matchups and seeing how these drivers stack up.
It's been a lot of fun to watch those battles progress over the race, and same deal for those watching at home. Tonight we've got an interesting one. Chase Cabry, the top of the charts in the playoff standings, already locked into the next round. How will he fare against DJ Cummings? Both of them tied at negative 110 on the odds, and we've seen DJ do a lot of great things, most notably at these bigger tracks and the super speedways. I really like the Anthony Alfredo, Justin Melillo one. Alfredo, a very successful driver in previous history at M&R at these super speedways. Melillo, somewhat of the same, but just without that race victory. And then you look at Matt Stonick, Raja Caruth, 2 very great drivers in their own respect. Caruth, a very aggressive and very powerful driver at these larger tracks. And then you look at all the way at the bottom, Chris Weaver and Brett Baldeck, 2 of them going against each other with the same odds as well. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how they do.
Appreciate all the lines from Grid Rival, the most in-depth fantasy motorsports manager game on the planet. It is full of engaging features that bring a new level of engagement to your favorite racing series. Grid Rival is proud to support Monday Night Racing. You can check out the Grid Rival app both in the App Store and on Google Play. As you look at the rest of the running order here at Daytona International Speedway, and you can see after his early win, Garrett Smithley at the top of the heap in terms of being a favorite to go to victory lane tonight with our Grid Rival matchups. Just a minute or 2 left in practice here as we get things wrapped up, and we'll go to qualifying here in just a moment. The Next Level Racing 225. On the other side of this break, we go green flag racing here tonight at the World Center of Racing.
Get the edge on your competition with P8 Performance Gummies. Formulated specifically for gamers and the esports industry, we packed our gummies with all the good stuff, including ingredients that are clinically proven to help tired eyes, improve reaction times, and help suppress computer vision syndrome. Take your focus and endurance to the next level and try P8 Gummies today. Now available at Procelerate.com. Plus, if you're mad about gaming, we're looking to partner with influencers just like you. Drop us a line at support@Procelerate.com to see if you qualify to try our gummies for free. It's officially game on with all new P8 gummies.
Visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Back with you here from the World Center of Racing for Season 6 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Hitz, and Eric Estep on the call with you tonight. And, well, guys, we rounded out our booth just a moment ago. How about we look at our picks for tonight's race? Probably my favorite part of this broadcast, and a little bit of a different list here than you would typically see here tonight at Daytona. But Kenneth, I'll give you first rights to try to defend your pick and winner tonight, Colin Ferd.
Of course, I'm going with the 86 of Colin Fern. It is a surprising pick if you look at the wins that Colin Fern has in his MNR career. All three of them have not come at a track that is a super speedway. But whenever you get at a track that's 2 miles or over, you really have to watch Colin Fern every time he's on track. He's a very aggressive driver. He is not afraid to make the moves that a lot of others might be, and he is pretty much not afraid to show his dominance at a track like Daytona. So I'm picking Colin Fern to get his first win this season and to lock himself into the next round. It will be a big one for him, and coming off of the 4th place finish at Richmond just last week and him being 4th in playoff standings going into tonight, I figure it's going to be an excellent catalyst for the entrance of the next round at Pocono.
Well, there's Kenneth. Jacob, you're next up.
All right, guys, I'm going with Gary Sexton. As you saw, Blake's got an important football game going on tonight. He was repping their colors. You saw me as well, repping my team. And I thought about picking Justin Malillo. And then the Giants won yesterday. Go Birds. Go Gary Sexton.
All right. I guess here at Super Speedway, you could use that logic and perhaps get away with it. And then no shocker here, Eric. Anthony Alfredo been so strong on these Super Speedways all season long, or at least as long as Monday Night Racing has been around. But you think it's going to be enough to go to victory lane tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. He's been so great at the super speedways, both in the sim and even in real world racing. And I know he's not a playoff driver this year. He's had internet connectivity issues throughout the season. But if that setup is good for 90 laps tonight, I think he will be there at the end. We know he's got a lot of drivers out there that trust him, that know they can follow him to the front more times than not. So I feel pretty good about Anthony Alfredo. We only get to pick one driver once throughout these entire playoffs, so I figured for the super speedway, I gotta burn my Alfredo choice.
Burn the pasta, anyone?
I like it, a little al dente maybe.
Yeah,
Does that mean undercooked, or I don't actually know
That's
what that
under.
means. Under?
I'm glad
Okay.
you know, Jacob, because I don't really know.
No, I don't know either.
I don't even know. I assume that's Italian. I don't even know what language that is.
I mean, I went to Olive Garden the other night. That's close enough, isn't it?
There you go.
Jealous.
It was a lot of fun, but and then Mark Rabilis. I figured it's been some tough sledding these last couple of weeks with picks and trying to think who's going to win. And throughout all of those races, guess who's just been kind of sneaking his way up for some top 5 finishes? Old Mark Rabilis. So you know what? I'm going to go with Mark, and we are going to step aside here for just a moment before we get things going with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and of the free and the home of God? Hooray.
We are ready to get the engines fired here at Daytona, and we'll go ahead and show you the BST Shocks starting grid. And sitting on the Roasted Jim's Coffee pole tonight, Gary Sexton, 49.320 is the quick time for tonight for driver of the number 13, and Justin Malillo will start alongside in row number 1. Rolling off third tonight will be Adam Cabot. Presley Sora will start in the 4th position, looking to defend his championship from last season. Corey Heim will start on the inside of row number 3 in the 5th position. He ran an identical time to Anthony Alfredo, who starts in the 6th position tonight. Leighton Sabile goes 7th. 8th is Will Rogers. David Schulthouse will start in 9th, and Michael Fisher, car number 96, rounds out your top 10. Kenneth?
Ryan Vargas in the 26 will roll off P11 at the drop of the green. He'll have George Balfans Jr. in the 94 to his outside in row number 6. Matt Stonek for Crypto Autosport is into P13, and my pick, Colin Fern in the 86, rolls off P14 on the starting grid, still looking for that first win this season. DJ Cummings starts inside the top 15. Mark Rabilis, Blake McCandless, your pick, is off in P16 to start tonight's race. James Bickford for Charlotte Phoenix is in 17th to start. Ronnie Osmer in the 55, who finished in the top 10 last time we were at a super speedway. He is P18, followed by Michael Massey in the 27, 19th, and rookie Connor Berry in the 02, Jacob, to round out your top 20.
Former champion in P21, that's Rami Lyons. Rajah Karouf will line up in 22nd. Chris Weaver, Stephen Font, they are in row number 12. Then Brett Baldeck and Bailey Turner rounding out 25th and 26th. Max Kennan will roll off from the 27th position. Nick Olson, playoff driver, he loads onto the racetrack from 28th spot. Garrett Smithley and Chase Cabry, a couple more playoff drivers deep in the field back here, rounding out the top 15 rows.
31st will be Joey Padgett. Then you have Brandon Brown in 32nd. All these drivers back here not electing to put down a time in qualifying. So does Dale Tanhart, who goes from 33rd. Reed Wilson in 34th. Joshua Slate will start 35th. Ford Martin will roll off from the 36th position. Devin Henry 37th. And Case Collenbach in 38th will round out your 38 drivers that are set to do battle on the high banks of Daytona International Speedway tonight. 225 miles, 90 scheduled laps is the distance for tonight. Second race of the Season 6 playoffs in the round of 12 as we look at our race analysis once again.
Yeah, of course, the biggest thing to note here, Blake, is, again, the lack of faster pairs we've seen for most of the season in a lot of races, a lot of seasons in previous seminar competitions. Faster pairs were always available. Tonight it's going to be very pivotal that it does not exist in this race. The track temp and the weather also going to be a factor. Remember the last time we raced the ARCA cars at a super speedway? It was at bumpy Daytona during the daytime. A lot of hot track temp, a lot of slickness. Tonight, it is going to be the complete opposite. A 72-degree air temp, 69 degrees. Very nice track temp out here in Daytona Beach, Florida. Virtually no wind to the north. Humidity at 55 miles an hour. But, Blake, it is a beautiful sunset evening to go racing here at Daytona.
That it is, and again, this track will continue to change a little bit, but won't affect the handling of these cars as much as if we were at a track you had to lift like we were at last week with Richmond Raceway and the super late models. This is quite a bit different from that. The Twisted Sister car that was originally scanned in 2009, it was a Junior Motorsports nationwide car at the time that has since been converted to the ARCA car, but we are set to run it 90 laps around Daytona tonight. Green flag is out, and a great jump, or equal jump, I guess I should say, for both Gary Sexton and Justin Melillo as they get up close to full song as they hit turn 1. Up at the front of the field, no time wasted for Presley Sora. He'll go to the top end of the racetrack and lead us around lap number 1.
As they head for turn 1, there goes Presley Sora immediately ducking to the inside lane in front of Justin Melillo. Meanwhile, they try to build up some momentum on the outside lane. That's Michael Fisher giving help to the 33 of Anthony Alfredo. They'll catch a couple of more cars in the middle of the back straightaway.
Here they come toward turn number 3. Alfredo leading the charge on the outside. Help from Michael Fisher. Presley Sora downstairs. Alfredo clear for the lead. Fisher looking to clear himself for P2. Can't quite get there. Ronnie Osmer up at the top of the racetrack. Melillo down low behind Sora. It's all Alfredo off the corner.
A lot of drivers looking to get out of Dodge on lap number 1, but Anthony Alfredo, not one of those drivers. He'll move right into the middle of the racetrack and take the race lead here on lap number 2. He's had some great help behind from the number 96 car. That's Michael Fisher.
There's great help, but not enough help as maybe we anticipated. You can see a lot of the distance, Blake, on the inside of the racetrack. You see Adam Kamek, Gary Sexton giving space to Raja Karuth and all the other 2 drivers up at the front on the inside. A little bit of hesitation early on in the opening laps.
Down the back straightaway, you also saw, Kenneth, some guys just flat out drop to the back. David Schildhouse was amongst that group that started on the bottom and coming off turn 2, dropped to the apron. They went to the back of the field to try and ride around and stay out of harm's way. Sora by a car length off turn 4.
Yeah, those top 3 on the bottom really making some work. That's Presley Sora, Justin Melillo, and the 24 of Raja Karuth. Sora will take lap number 3, but here comes Anthony Alfredo. Another big run on the top side. He's got Michael Fisher in tow with him.
You see that happen a lot off of the 31 degrees of banking and even off of the 18 degrees of banking you find in the trial bowl. Here's on board with Justin Melillo. Alfredo is still out by roughly a car length. Sora will fight back off the corner, and on the middle of the straightaway, Alfredo has the nose by just an inch.
This pack pretty spread out as they make their way toward turn number 3. Up at the top of the field, though, it's still 4 cars in each line. Now Alfredo drops to the bottom. He's clear of Sora. He will maintain the lead. Sora taking over second as the outside begins to fade.
So 4 on the bottom. Now Alfredo will kind of try to play the Pied Piper here for just a moment as he'll swing back up to the top of the racetrack. Sora will be ahead at the line. Alfredo on the top side. He's got Fisher in tow, and back there, that is car 55. Ronnie Osmer trying to make the top side work.
head back for turn one. The last car on the outside right now, rookie Connor Berry seems to be the last one in this group. Nobody to help here is on board with Ronnie Osmer in the 55. The car in front of the O2, going to give the push to Fisher, who gives the push to Anthony Alfredo, and Jacob hits Alfredo ahead in the race lead.
Alfredo with a big run. Fisher drops to the bottom. Alfredo going to stay to the top of the racetrack heading to turn number 3. Here comes the 96 of Michael Fisher. He takes the lead in the middle of turn number 3. He is clear of Alfredo coming up off corner number 4. Sora with the push on the bottom.
Looking in the mirror, trying to make that car wide as Michael Fisher will go to the point for the first time tonight here at Daytona. Then you have Anthony Alfredo laying right on that right rear quarter panel, drafting help from Ronnie Osmer. Just further back the road, Connor Berry trying to make that top side work.
And look at the backside car on all of this, especially right behind Justin Melillo. And now the 4th car on the outside lane into turns 1 and 2. James Bickford rolled off 17th. He's now inside the top 10. And as Michael Fisher continues to lead, the outside trying to fight back.
Here comes that top side. Osmer to the back bumper of that 33 of Anthony Alfredo. You cannot push very well in these cars, but they're going to try it. Teammates up on the top of the racetrack in Alfredo and in Osmer, but it's all Michael Fisher coming through turn number 4.
Fisher bringing along that bottom lane with Presley Sora, Justin Melillo, Raja Caruth, and a little further on back, it is Adam Cabot, that 5th car on the inside line. 4 cars up top trying to make it work. James Bickford will join the fray as he's the 4th car on the outside row.
And here comes Anthony Alfredo with a nose ahead in turn 1. They'll even out back to the corner, and Michael Fisher gets a huge push from Presley Sora in the 98. They'll add on to with Justin Melillo there just behind. Fisher ahead by a car length. Will he block? Answer is no, and Alfredo looks to gain back momentum.
Here comes that 33 of Anthony Alfredo. Even though he's not a guy in the playoffs, he's still somebody to be reckoned with here in Monday Night Racing. Side by side for the lead. Alfredo on the outside, Fisher on the inside. Give the advantage to car number 96. Fisher leads off 4.
Haven't seen that 3rd lane develop yet, but that middle lane has been awfully strong. Alfredo using it just perfectly right now to take the race lead back once again. You mentioned Osmer, Berry, Bickford, your top 4 trying to make the outside work.
And now here come a couple of more cars. Blake into turn 1 on the outside. Steve O'Fawn in the 11. Robbie Lyons in the 2. Watch for them. You look at the point standings on the right side of your screen, how they fare right now as Alfredo continues to tussle with Michael Fisher, both stacked up inside outside.
Dangerous there as Fisher blinking on that inside line down the back straightaway. Not something you want to see out of the leader. Justin Melillo backed up just for a second. That may hurt the inside line. Alfredo with the run going into turn number 3. Michael Fisher storming back on the bottom off 4.
Oh, but those top 2 are working so well on the bottom side. Michael Fisher and Presley Sora has lost a little bit of that drafting help. It's about a car length back to Justin Melillo, but these top 2 are nearly stuck together as Fisher trying to poke a nose out on Alfredo.
And you have to imagine, Blake, as they come back for turn 1, who might be the catalyst to at least surge the inside or the outside. For right now, there hasn't been a clear answer. It may just be in the form of Raja Caruth, who gives support to that inside and gives Michael Fisher a comfortable lead for now on the back straightaway.
Michael Fisher down on the bottom looking for his first career Monday Night Racing win. Anthony Alfredo looking for yet another win here in MNR, especially on the plate tracks. Still no real big moves out of the playoff drivers. Your highest one, car number 98, Presley Sora. He's 3rd off the corner.
Well, those bright colors from Justin Melillo, the silver and pink, are beautiful tonight at Daytona. And you have the bright blue and yellow sported by Raja Caruth just behind. Trying to make that inside line work just a little bit better. Fisher and Alfredo side by side into turn number 1.
It's a complete color fest. Blake on the inside lane back to turn 1. You add on Presley Sora, very bright purple Chevrolet this evening. Speaking of playoff drivers, though, Jacob, driver up in front ahead the road in turn 3. Colin Fern started on the pits. May go a lap down if we stay green.
Colin trying the same strategy that did not work for David Schildhouse a week ago at Richmond, and so far it is biting. Colin Fern in the rear end as he is in trouble. 3 wide in the middle of the field, storming up the middle. Matt Stallneck, Cannon on the outside, Josh Slade on the inside.
3 wide battle back here at the outskirts of the top 10. You mentioned Matt Stallneck. He was able to make his way through. DJ Cummings will do so as well, as Stallneck in 14th right now as a couple of cars get out of shape. Caruth goes beneath the apron.
Caruth is able to save it for now. They'll stack up on the inside. Caruth going to try and maintain some momentum. He'll side draft the 29 of James Bickford. A little bit of connectivity issues, but he rebounds, and that gives momentum back to the bottom. Michael Fisher still in control.
Fisher leading that bottom side, but here comes Alfredo. Big run on the outside. Just 3 cars up there. It's Alfredo, Osmer, and Connor Berry. Wheel to wheel for the lead coming through turn 3. Bickford on the outside as well. He's 3 car lengths back. Fisher on the bottom side, all 4.
And right now, side by side for the race lead, it looks like Anthony Alfredo will have it at the stripe as we complete lap number 11. A couple of different race leaders in this one, Anthony Alfredo, Michael Fisher, who right now runs side by side at the front end of the field. You also have Presley Sora right now, who currently runs in third. He may be charging here for second in just a moment. Ronnie Osmer, Connor Berry, Justin Malillo, Rajah Caruth, James Bickford, Adam Cabot, and Michael Massey round out your top 10. A number of drivers have formed a long single file line at the back of the field, waiting for this one to just kind of settle out. We are only on lap 12 of 90 scheduled circuits around the Daytona International Speedway tonight. I know they're loving it out there in the chat, at least it seems so. Eric, what are you thinking so far of the racing we're seeing tonight?
Absolutely. The racing has been intense. They're pushing awfully hard for it being only 10, 12 laps into this race, but we're seeing the lead change hands back and forth. Colin Fern, you also just mentioned him a moment ago, losing the draft. He's now a lap down, and I wanted to give you guys some props. 24th man for life in the chat says loves the commentary, especially loving the radio style. So yeah, you guys doing a fantastic job so far. It's fun to watch and fun to listen to.
Oh, we certainly appreciate the kind words here as we continue our coverage of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Race number 2 of the Season 6 playoffs tonight, the Daytona International Speedway. We go road course racing next week, but the big question tonight is who will win and will they lock their way into the round of 8? Anthony Alfredo cannot do so, but he leads the field into turn number 1.
You talk about the lack of playoff drivers at the very front of the field, apart from Presley Sora, who sits second right now. So he's going to give the push to Michael Fisher.
Trouble, 1 car to the outside wall in turn 1. It was Chase Cabry. He saves it and keeps it going, but a big moment here at the entrance of turn number 1. Chase Cabry got that right side stuck into the outside retaining wall, and you can see the ensuing result. He has collected that race car, but has lost a lot of valuable ground. As you can see, the long line of race cars all in the draft tucked up underneath one another will go safely on by, and really the first big issue we've seen tonight out of driver 39, who has nothing to worry about. He is locked into the round of 8. Meanwhile, side by side up front for the race lead.
Fisher and Alfredo still going at it for P1 on the racetrack. You take a look on board with that 39 briefly. Fortunately, that's a good thing. Cabry's already locked into the next round. No worries for him, and we will stay green. A very clean race so far. But Jacob, as they round the back straightaway, still side by side for P1.
This time by, they'll have 15 laps complete here from Daytona. Alfredo and Fisher still duking it out for the lead heading into turn number 3. Alfredo has Osmer on his back bumper, almost peaked 3 wide. He stays with his teammate, but Fisher with the advantage.
We've seen some drivers certainly a little further on back that are willing to go 3 wide, but up front it has been 2 by 2 since we dropped the green flag. Alfredo and Fisher trading blows back and forth, still side by side into turn 1. 3 wide, a little further back in the pack.
Yeah, that was Robbie Lyons, that bright blue number 2 machine, tried to peek it 3 wide underneath Steve Alfont. Did not work, and you can imagine a lot of the conservatism has to be a byproduct, Jacob, of the lack of the faster pair. Everybody wants to race up front, but they want to race clean. They're doing so right now.
And a lot of those playoff drivers that are toward that cut line are some of those that are at the back of the field. One exception, though, it's the 98 of Presley Sora, second on the inside line. He's been glued to the back door of that 96 of Michael Fisher. They work together and keep him out in front.
Oh, a couple of cars sliding off of the corner. That 4th car on the outside line, Steve Alfont, a little bit loose out of the corner as they go 3 wide further on back in the field in the tri-oval. Alfont shoved to the middle of the racetrack, nowhere for him to go. Here comes Robbie Lyons looking to the top side here at Daytona.
As they chase for turn 1, Lyons trying to find help, but he will find none of it. The 41 and the 10 trying to give assistance, could not give enough momentum, so they'll single file out, at least on the outside, and they'll stay doubled up in our rows, a bunch of rows deep, still even for the lead.
Side by side for the lead. Alfredo hanging tough on that outside, but Michael Fisher in that inside line. It's the dominant lane in the corners, and he'll ride that. He'll clear Alfredo off the corner, still wheel to wheel, second on back.
No, Lane just seeming to be able to break away, just get that little extra push that they need to try to move their lane forward. Lions has done a good job of trying to make 3 wide work, but still gridlocked side by side at the front.
And the pushes have been absolutely outstanding back to turn 1 from both Ronnie Osmer and Presley Sora. But look at the move on the inside lane. Sora again going to push Michael Fisher out front. Can Anthony Alfredo respond in enough time? Answer is yes, and they stay together on the back straightaway.
Big surge from the outside line, but Presley Sora has been an incredible pusher down on the bottom of the racetrack. As soon as that top side gets alongside for the lead, the bottom surges back ahead. Closer this time, but it's still Fisher by a nose.
Yeah, that Shaq Gear Chevrolet has certainly seen everything well up to this point. He has seen the back end of Michael Fisher and tried to push it as far forward as possible. That 98 able to be tucked right behind the 96. Same can be said for Alfredo and Osmer on the top side.
And maybe some recency bias here, Blake, for the driver of the 98 in Presley Sora was at the ARCA test at Daytona in real life a couple of days ago. He was able to watch those cars wrap around this 2.5-mile oval, and right now proving it to be the case. A lot of success here on the bottom lane with Michael Fisher.
Fisher still out in front. Here comes that 33 on the outside, though. Alfredo poking his nose out in front just for a moment. Now he's in trouble. The bottom side back to work. Fisher back out in front by half a car length.
Osmer swinging high, swinging low, and he'll still stay tucked to Anthony Alfredo off of turn number 4, but further back in the pack, looking for 3 wide. This time it is Lions who is on the receiving end of it. Stolnick, though, has the momentum. Here he goes up the banking to the 5th row, and contact made into turn 1.
They made contact. Unfortunately, Stolnick avoids a hit with the outside wall. He maintains up at the top. He'll fall back, and it looks like the inside train again pulling away with those trio of cars. Melillo, Sora, and Fisher still ahead.
Stolnick, who needs as many points as he can get, coming in with no playoff points. He needs to have some good runs here at Daytona and next week at Watkins Glen. A dangerous moment. He sits P12 on the racetrack on the outside. He's safe for now.
You certainly think that the line of thinking for these crew chiefs is that you want to start to make your way forward as we're more than halfway through this opening run. You can sense it here that everybody's starting to look to that 3rd lane as an opportunity.
But you also maybe, Blake, have to look for pit road. We've gone 21 laps green so far. If we stay green like this, with the 75% fuel we have offered, we are going to end up having green flag pit stops. So while you can look at a 3rd lane, sure, the bottom of the racetrack and pit lane might be viable as well.
And the question is, Kenneth, how many drivers practice green flag pit stops from going near 200 miles an hour to the 60-mile-an-hour pit road speed limit that there is here at the high banks of Daytona? We'll see how many drivers practice, how many drivers lock their tires up.
Back to turn 1 they go. Still even for the race lead. Anthony Alfredo and Michael Fisher continue to go at it door to door. We've seen them be even every single lap. The question is, who might be the breakaway car for now, Jacob? The answer seems to be nobody, as Alfredo and the 96 continue to go at it for the lead.
Alfredo up on that outside. He's close to clearing Michael Fisher, but he just can't quite do it. Heading to turn number 3, Fisher roars back on the bottom side. He will go back out in front. He's able to clear Alfredo off the corner. Won't quite do it as they make their way back to the start-finish line. Raja Karuth gets a little squirrely 4th on that bottom side, but he gets it straight in the right direction as the field rockets back to turn 1.
We'll go back for turn 1, and Anthony Alfredo is still with the lead by just half a car length, and Fisher will fight back Presley Sora again to give the large push. And now, Jacob, you're seeing a lot of the field start to accordion. We saw a lot of separation in the first opening laps of this race. It feels like everybody's a little more comfortable this time around, and as they round the back straightaway, there are way more cars up at the front this time.
Here they come toward turn number 3. Alfredo again trying to get that outside line to work. You've got 7, 8 cars, make it 9 cars on the outside. Balfans, the last one. More cars strung out on the bottom, though, and that's giving the advantage to that inside line as they make their way toward the start-finish line. Alfredo and Fisher still side by side for position number 1 as the field heads back to turn number 1.
We We've seen a couple of drivers try 3 wide, and all of the attempts have been unsuccessful. It stays 2 wide, multiple rows deep all the way back to the battle for P12. Matt Stolnick and Joshua Slate, DJ Cummings in the mix as well. Michael Fisher going to have the run out of turn 2, but here comes the response once more. Anthony Alfredo with Ronnie Osmer.
Can they get clear? The answer is no. 3 wide further behind them on the outside. Teammates once again. DJ Cummings touches the safer barrier in turn number 3. Car gets a little loose. He's able to straighten it out. He was trying to push Matt Stolnick toward the top 10. He's still 3 wide up there. Bickford and Raja Karuth in the middle of that as well. Connor Berry peeking, trying to decide if he wants to go to that 3rd line. He stays in the middle for now, headed to turn 1.
Cummings has been the only driver so far to give assistance to that 41. Connor Berry going to offer some drafting help going back to turn 1, but he'll ditch out back to that middle lane. Now here comes the eNASCAR number 10 machine. 3 wide, 2 rows deep out of turn 2 on the back straightaway. Does the 41 have enough momentum? So far, evens out with Bickford and Caruth.
How far can this outside line go? All the way up against the outside wall. Dangerous game playing with that safer barrier, because if you hit it, you can lose the car. There's no doubt about it. We already saw DJ have some issues once with it here under this green flag run. There's still 3 wide. In the middle of this pack is Alfredo and Fisher, still wheel to wheel for the lead. Bickford trying his best to hold off the outside line, but he's not having any luck.
And remember, as they go back for turn 1, what happened to Chase Cabry in the middle of the corner, and the 41 almost gets into the outside wall again. With these cars, it can be so easy to suck up against that wall, and it can be so hard to get out of it. The 41 escapes calamity for now, but he'll back out, and as they still go for the race lead, the 41 will move back to P10.
Everybody gets organized into that 2nd lane once again. No more 3rd line, at least for now. Maybe drivers deciding it's not worth it, or knowing that green flag pit stops are just on the horizon here from Daytona. Fisher leads off the corner. A little squirrely there from Alfredo. He gets a tap in the rear end from Ronnie Osmer. Side by side for the lead to the start-finish line. Alfredo back out in front as those tires continue to wear. That outside line really going to face trouble.
Go back for turn 1. The 96 and the 33 still even, and we've seen this play happen over and over again, lap after lap. The 98 gives a push to the 96, and then here comes the 33 and the 55 back at it for the action. They'll try and even out again on the middle of the back straightaway.
Down toward turn number 3, still side by side, the first 4 rows. Then things start to string out just a little bit. Alfredo on the top, Fisher on the bottom. He leads them all 4. Welcome back, Blake McCandless.
It has been interesting trying to get back into this one, as Michael Fisher and Anthony Alfredo, as they have for the majority of this race, have been running up at the front of the field as they continue to lead us since we have run green since the drop of the initial green flag. The Next Level Racing 225 is brought to you by Next Level Racing. We are proud to partner with Monday Night Racing, founded in 2009. Next Level Racing is the world's leading simulation brand, revolutionizing sim racing with its industry-leading product range. Visit nextlevelracing.com for more information. Again, that is nextlevelracing.com, as we continue to tackle the World Center of Racing here in the Next Level Racing 225. Michael Fisher in first, Anthony Alfredo in second, Ronnie Osmer runs third, Presley Sora is in fourth, Connor Berry is in fifth, Justin Malillo, Raja Karuth, James Bickford, Adam Cabot, and Matt Stolnick round out your top 10.
A little bit of a bobble there. Blake McCandless coming out of turn 4 from that outside lane to check them up quite a bit, but it looks like they'll be just fine coming back out of turn 2. Almost contact between Alfredo and Sora, as Alfredo tried to side draft, and Fisher going to hold on to the lead.
Alfredo maybe starting to get a little more aggressive to get to the bottom if he can. The only reason he stayed up there as long as he has is because he hasn't been able to bring his teammate Ronnie Osmer with him. Still side by side. Fisher storming back on the bottom. They're even coming off the corner. Give the advantage to Fisher.
A little bit of chatter over the radio. Everybody going to try to swing low down to the bottom to try to get down for what we think will be green flag pit stops just around the corner. You can see 3 cars on the top side. Alfredo and Fisher nearly touch at the front of the field for the lead, as Alfredo wants to get down to the bottom.
That was completely disastrous, or almost could have been, between the 33 and the 96. You could tell everybody fizzling out of that outside groove. The 33, 55, and 02 practically stuck up there, and the 33 will nose ahead for the lead on the back straightaway.
Will this group on the outside have to drop to the back of the field in order to drop in line, or at least the middle of the pack? The top two of Fisher and Sora, no dice. Josh Slate comes from the back to the front. He drops fourth in line to the bottom. The top three still in no man's land.
Fisher, Sora, and Malillo on the bottom side holding firm and keeping those drivers on the top side as there is more chatter over the radios. Green flag pit stops may be just around the corner, but 4 still on the outside lane.
And now add in a 5th. Here comes George Balfans Jr., a driver with a pretty decent record at super speedways in his M&R career. He'll couple up with the number 39 of Chase Cabry, who struck the wall a little bit ago, and now make it 5 cars strong on the top, still going for the lead.
Cabry's car looks fine, at least for now. Big run from the outside. Alfredo able to get to the bottom. Osmer now, he'll lead the outside line, and he gets stuck by his teammate. Barry, Cabry, and Balfan still up there, but Alfredo clear for the lead off 4.
The Logitech Chevrolet goes to the point for the first time at the bottom. Robbie Lyons further back in the pack, going to be the lone car this circuit around that is going to dive down to the pit lane. You see another one further on back in the field as well, but pit stops are right around the corner.
And that is Nick Olsen, Blake in the 24. Also to follow in Olsen, one of the playoff drivers below the cut line going into tonight's race in the round of 12. So a big development there. He's going to be leaving with Lyons on pit road. Those two only. That's going to be big as the outside and Osmer try to fight for the lead.
Hearing some drivers say they're going to go next lap. That includes drivers like Ryan Vargas, who are in the playoffs. Meanwhile, Osmer to the lead. Barry, Cabry, Balfans, and Cabot abandoned on the outside. Ronnie Osmer, your leader at Daytona's pit stops are right coming. Here they are.
Ronnie Osmer, Anthony Alfredo, Michael Fisher all making their trips down to the pit lane. And oh, Fisher has missed it. Osmer has spun here on the pit lane. Matt Stolnick may have gone over as well. Several black flags issued to drivers. Alfredo has a black flag. So does Matt Stolnick, Ronnie Osmer, and Michael Fisher. All 4 of your race leaders trouble entering the pits, and they will have penalties to serve as we take one more look at it.
And that's a point that Jacob brought up a couple of laps ago, Blake, trying to go from upwards of 200 miles an hour down to the pit road speed limit. You see the 33 and the 55 get immediately sideways on the brakes. Fisher overcooks it on the way down. He goes into the grass. Matt Stolnick and a couple of others get tagged in it as well. And you're right, black flags to all of them. That is going to significantly alter the shape of the field. Chase Camry almost about speeds it down to pit road with a lockup on the tires, and he'll bring a couple of other cars with him.
I don't know how Raja Caruth got that car slowed down as he brought down Justin Malillo. Presley Sora, who has spun. Sora spins into his pit stall, and he'll have to back it up as he completely missed it and is still trying to get into his pit stall. Crucial time loss for the defending series champion.
Chaos on the pit lane. Your leaders right now through 3 and 4. 2 cars working together. Robbie Lyons, Nick Olsen. Remember, they pitted just a couple laps ago. The rest of the leaders to pit road right now.
There goes Adam Cabot, the 94, George Balfans Jr. Garrett Smithley is, they nearly touch and make contact entering their pit stall. Smithley gets turned. So does Gary Sexton as Smithley was on the outside trying to get down to his pit stall. George Balfans Jr. has spun as well. These guys don't know how to pit.
It's been absolutely chaotic, and multiple playoff drivers are at the victim of it as a 17 brings a bunch of other drivers in. Here's another look at it. Cabot, the one to lead them through. And then you'll see it all come down to a crashing halt. Here's Lane Sabile on board, and as Smithley tried to find his pit stall, he gets hit by Sabile and also hit the 13 of Sexton. And it is absolute calamity here on the pit lane. Almost more contact exiting. Corey Heim and Adam Cabot almost about touched entering turn 1.
Well, they were somewhat transparent at that point, so Corey Heim and Cabot cycle around to your race lead, and boy, have we dropped a lot of competitive cars because of the fact that they had issues exiting the pit lane. You can see Alfredo clear to the lead. Chris Weaver just in front of him is a lap car. The rest of the field starting to form up, and you can see it's really thinned out with all of the issues that we have had on pit road. So looking at the running order, Alfredo, Fisher, and Osmer, 3 of your most competitive cars all a lap down after this green flag cycle. But right now, to the lead at the front of the field is Chase Cabry. Cabry is your race leader.
It is definitely shaking up the field, and the thing for Chase Cabry is that while he has a couple of cars to work with, most notably the 9 of Chris Weaver, the 96 of Michael Fisher, the 26 and the 29 Ryan Vargas and James Bickford, they are rapidly approaching and may bring a couple of more cars with them. Adam Kavik, Corey Heim among those in that group. Also, you can bring in Bailey Turner, Mark Rubilis leading a second group of cars on the back straightaway.
Half a dozen cars trying to catch the race leader, and then there's another dozen that are trying to reel him in as well. They're a couple of seconds back, led by Mark Rubilis, DJ Cummings in that, Bailey Turner, Robbie Lyons, Malillo among others, including Schildhouse in the playoffs.
And that is your running order at the front of the field. Eric, I know we came to you last time. They were loving the racing, but I feel like there's enough drama just in that green flag pit cycle alone to make up for the entire race.
Yeah, the chat absolutely blowing up. We over 30 laps at 190 plus miles per hour. No incidents, no wrecks. Getting down to 60 miles per hour. Who knew that would be the problem? I try to pick out a few individual comments, but they're all basically just oof, OMG, wow. But yeah, this race has been flipped completely upside down. The top 4, top 5 look nothing like they did before this cycle began, Blake.
And they are getting hairy up here at the front of the field. 3 wide as Alfredo slides off into the tri-oval as he nearly made contact with Ryan Vargas. James Bickford now trying to take the race lead as Cabry and he go side by side for the race lead just behind the lap car of Michael Fisher.
And back to turn 1, Blake, you're seeing a lot of the drama arise with lap cars in lead lap competition. Alfredo being put a lap down with that black flag. You see him alone on the outside lane. He'll try to pick up the 55 of Ronnie Osmer. They'll pick up Connor Berry, a lead lap car inside the top 5 to try and carry Bickford to the race lead.
Doing the best they can right now to turn 3. Cabry out in front. The battle for second between Vargas and Bickford. Bickford on the outside with help from Berry, Alfredo, and Osmer. Wheel to wheel off turn 4.
And at the front of this pack, you have poor Michael Fisher at the tail end of the lead lap, trying to lead and stay on the lead lap. Should he get a caution flag? James Bickford has something to say about it, though. Huge run out of the 29 as they hit the banks in turn number 1.
And here comes the 29 of James Bickford looking to lead this race for the first time all night long. Last time we saw him in a lead at Daytona, it was at the road course with the MX-5s, got crashed out of turn 4. This time looking to change the scripture, and he'll go to P1 on the back straightaway.
Here comes Bickford, knocked out of the playoffs, but still thinks he can have a shot to go to victory lane. He's out in front, Berry to give him the help. Here comes Cabry trying to fight back on the bottom. They're side by side off corner number 4.
Cabry, he pushed that lap car, but now he has nowhere to go, nowhere to defend, as Bickford will nose out in front by just a little bit. 12 one-thousandths of a second at the line. Give it to Bickford, Cabry, and Connor Berry, your top 3.
A little bit of separation, though, when you watch most of the field single file wrapping the double yellow line at the bottom of the racetrack. But how about the drivers sitting P7 right now in the lead lap? David Schildhouse has been quiet all night long at the dead bottom of the playoff picture and looking to gain some decent points this time through.
Schildhouse looking to get a rebound after the bad week at Richmond and put himself in a position to race for a championship after the race at Watkins Glen next week. He needs some help there too, but right now things going smooth for car number 20.
Just 15 cars here at the front of this lead pack. The rest of the field is packed up about 8.5 seconds back, or even worse, as 15 cars up here at the front. Cabry, James Bickford, Ryan Vargas, then you have Connor Berry in that battle as well. Adam Cabot, Will Rogers, DJ Cummings, David Schildhouse, Bailey Turner, Robbie Lyons, Corey Heim, Mark Rubilis, Justin Malillo, Dale Tanhart, and Nick Olson. That is it as far as drivers that are up at the front of the field that, at least for now, through this green flag cycle, continue to run in contention for the win. Now, you see they are 3 wide, 2 lap cars down to the bottom of the racetrack. Joey Padgett and the 93 just behind him looking to hang on as they go a lap down. That is Reed Wilson as well in car number 66. 3 wide with your race leaders through the tri-oval as Fisher still leading the herd.
And I was about to mention it the last lap by, Blake, about those lap cars, and Carruth now going to lead that outside lane. Connor Berry absolutely trapped on the outside in the 3rd lane, and we're wondering how big of an impact are these drivers going to make. They're all in a hunt for a lucky dog, all in the hunt to stay on the lead lap if a caution comes out.
I was on the button, ready to go if things went haywire. Lapped cars 3 wide, pandemonium at the front, but it's Cabry out in front. Second place is the 29 at James Bickford. He's on the outside, side by side for third between Cabot and Vargas. Couple cars back.
And Caruth may have gotten a shot right there from James Bickford. He wiggled his number 24 Sunoco Chevrolet up here at the front of the field. He'll go side by side for second. He may look for the lead before too long.
And now you wonder if you're James Bickford in the 29, who was leading that outside group just a couple of laps ago, are you going to shuffle Caruth out of the way, or are you willing to work with him around halfway in this race, even though he is at the mercy of being put a lap down?
Down the back straightaway, Rajah Caruth in that 024. He is a lap down, as well as the 83, the 66, the 33, the 55, the 96 out in front. He is at the tail end of the lead lap. Your race leader, car number 39, off 4.
And man, has this race shaken up that we see this pack at the front, and not all of them are even competing to try and go for the race lead. Caruth looking to unlap himself and go to the tail end of the lead lap along with Michael Fisher, car 96, who sits out in front.
And remember, Blake, this has happened the last time we were at Daytona with the bumpy Daytona version. And with these ARCA cars last season, we saw through pit stop strategy, a lot of lap cars played a huge factor in the run for the race lead. They're doing no different this time by Caruth on the outside, trying to catch up to Michael Fisher to unlap himself.
We hit halfway in a lap and a half, and already the intensity starting to build. Matt Stolnick, who is in contention. No, he's not. He's a lap down. He's making a third line up on the top of the racetrack, trying to get himself in a position to get a lap back.
So lap traffic trying to dictate the goings on here at Daytona. Stolnick doesn't have a lot of help right now. He'll find a little bit of DJ Cummings. They are up on the top side, 3 wide with Ryan Vargas trying to make it work.
3 wide in the third lane. Now here comes Bickford to give assistance. 3 cars up at the top. They'll try to shuffle Caruth out of the way at the exit of turn 2. They'll try and find momentum. They'll cancel out. And now here comes the Charlotte Phoenix machine to the outside of Caruth.
Bickford looking for the lead. Stolnick looking to try and get back on the lead lap. He's got to push the leader to the front in order to have a shot to get that lap back. Only 2 cars on the outside, couple of cars, maybe 5 or 6 in the middle and on the bottom.
Cabry 3 wide for the race lead, but he is only battling James Bickford all the way on the top. Caruth in the middle trying to get his lap back, and then you have Joey Padgett, Ryan Vargas, and DJ Cummings just behind them trying to make this all work.
And also, mind you, Blake, DJ Cummings is also on the lead lap, currently sitting P4 on the racetrack right now. So in the midst of the sea of lap traffic cars, there are the lead lap contenders in here. Cummings trying to make sure he can get back to victory lane on a super speedway. They'll even out again, all 3 lanes on the back straightaway.
And Cummings looking to help his teammate in that 41 get back onto the lead lap. Rajah Caruth is clear to the bottom. He will take over out in front of Michael Fisher. He leads the pack. He's back on the lead lap. Ryan Vargas up the middle, takes the lead through 3.
Third on the racetrack, but number 1 on the scoring board goes the number 26 Chevrolet of Ryan Vargas as he rockets to the top here at Daytona. Then you have fellow Xfinity driver Anthony Alfredo back up here at the front trying to make that middle line work.
And we've seen that 33 back to turn 1, Blake, be such a good pushy, but never a pusher. He was helped by Ronnie Osmer virtually all night long, now having to play the pushing game to unlap himself on the track with Vargas to help, and Vargas will continue in the race lead.
The third line has been eradicated. Only 1 car up there. It's James Bickford. He has dropped back by about 5 car lengths going to turn number 3. Nobody to help him. He's going to have to drop all the way back to the tail of this field as Vargas is your leader off the corner.
Oh, it is sunk like an anchor for James Bickford, who has to regroup here at the back of this field. Side by side up front, Caruth, not for the race lead, looking to stay at the tail end of the lead lap. Then you have Vargas on the top side. Great help from that 33 of Anthony Alfredo, and Connor Berry up there as well.
How about the rookie Connor Berry in a turn 1, shuffling in a P2 in that fight with Chase Cabry for position. Connor Berry, remember, our first race of the season at Talladega, had his race ended early in his debut event, and now looking for potentially the lead if he can get by.
Ryan Vargas out in front of this field. He's got help from Alfredo. He's got help from Connor Berry. Connor Berry is at least on the lead lap. The 33 is not, neither on the 24 or the 96.
Matt Stolnick looking for a lane around as he swings back down low. He'll go all the way to the bottom. Runs into the back of Chase Cambry. He still hangs on to it as Stolnick trying to make up his mind and find somewhere to make a run. He'll just tuck down to the bottom behind car 39.
That's going to check up the inside lane significantly, the 41. Lucky that he didn't get run into the rear of by the 83 of Joey Padgett, a playoff driver in this series. They're going to double up once again. Now Ryan Vargas will try to get a nose ahead of Raja Karuth, but a battle already won for the race lead.
Side by side, even though it's not for the lead. Vargas out in front, Caruth trying to hold on and stay on the lead lap in the event a caution could come out. He's back out in front for just a moment off the corner.
Well, all those lead lap cars starting to really form up on the top side. A lot of organization out there. Vargas, Alfredo, Connor Berry moved DJ Cummings into that conversation as well, trying to get by the lap traffic there on the bottom.
So far, unsuccessful. We've seen this happen all race long, Blake, as they go back for turns 1 and 2, that even if you've got a lot of drivers on the outside or the inside, it is really hard to escape. Fortunately for Ryan Vargas, he's very comfortable at the front, and this push by Alfredo might clear him officially from everyone else.
He knows how to do it. He's been able to race his way to the championship before. He drops to the bottom. Raja Karuth gets squirrely. He's clear, just barely. Oh, what a save by Raja Karuth through turn number 3. Vargas out in front, controlling the lanes.
And Caruth collects it, keeps Vargas up front, but here comes Anthony Alfredo. The Logitech Chevrolet has not been denied up to this point, and he is looking to try and get back onto the lead lap after biffing it on pit road.
But he needs a caution desperately, and so does everybody else that's trying to fight for the same spot that 33 is holding right now. Caruth is able to maintain on the bottom. He'll take that lucky dog spot away, at least for the moment, though, even out at the exit of turn 2. And Ryan Vargas, huge buffer. He's comfortable in the race lead.
Well past the halfway point, 50 laps are complete, just 40 to go. Ryan Vargas trying to win his way into the next round. Connor Berry has a wall formed in front of him to try and get to the race leader. He's got to get through Alfredo and Caruth.
We'll see if he's able to do it here and not gonna be able to make a run this time. Matt Stolnick, though, peeking to the inside, nearly looked 3 wide on Connor Berry there on the top side, but Matt Stolnick getting antsy right there in that 6th position.
There's a little wiggle there. The 2 teammates on the bottom, the 83 and the 66, Padgett and Wilson, both teammates at Team Joyride, looking to work together. Almost a little bit of chaos there, but they're going to even out again, inside, outside, and Alfredo looks for the point, even though he's not officially in the race lead.
Very difficult for either line, Kenneth, to actually break away. They just get side by side and sort of side draft off each other. Unless you're on the bottom, it's very difficult to break away and get out in front. Ryan Vargas finding it the easy way right now.
Well, we've seen that middle work before, but we just haven't seen quite the organization up there on the top side. Connor Berry chucked up right behind Anthony Alfredo. Great pushing out of 33. We'll see if Stolnick stays in line. He does into turn 1.
And Jacob, that's a good point. On that last lap, with everybody not being able to escape from one another, do you wonder if the drivers near the rear of the top 10 or even the top 15 start to clutch up and start to accordion all together before our second round of green flag pit stops?
Just have to wait and see. We're getting close to that point, about 10 laps away from the window opening on pit stops for the second time. Hopefully things go a little bit cleaner, or some drivers may be hoping that enough happens where we get a caution. Vargas not hoping for one right now. He's your leader.
Vargas is your leader, and Eric, these guys are in a weird quagmire right now where if you're Raja Karuth, you're the lucky dog right now. Everything is looking fantastic for you, but the more you push that car in front of you of Ryan Vargas, you get him clear of Anthony Alfredo, guess what? That makes Alfredo the lucky dog, so I'm sure Raja Karuth in a really tough position right now, not really sure where exactly he wants to go as Alfredo clears for the lead.
Yeah, now that Alfredo is cleared for the lead, that really puts both Raja Karuth, Michael Fisher, a lot of the lap down cars in that inside lane in a tough spot. And I mean, for a while there throughout this run, you've had 4 of the top 5 in that pack, either on the tail end of the lead lap or racing to get that lucky dog.
Oh, trouble turn 3. Ryan Vargas gets turned. Raja Karuth is around. Ronnie Osmer into the outside wall. Michael Fisher, another car trapped against the outside wall as cars scatter, trying to avoid. James Bickford, the other car involved, coming off turn 4. Anthony Alfredo got down in front of Vargas. Connor Berry was going for the lead. Vargas lifted, Caruth did not. That turned the 26 Leargas security car sideways, and it was on in turns 3 and 4.
Trouble at the front of the field, and like you said, it was what was then your race leader in Ryan Vargas that gets hit by the lap car, and Raja Caruth sends them up. A vicious impact into the outside retaining wall, nearly 160 miles an hour when they made contact. Michael Fisher, Ronnie Osmer, James Bickford involved in this one as well, all starting around that 26 and 24 car. And you see Dale Tanhart, is he going to find a way to make it through? He does. He misses all the calamity at nearly full speed. Does that 81 of Dale Tanhart. Caution is out for the first time here at Daytona, with all of these lap cars trying to duke it out with your race leaders.
And again, as you saw what happened at the exit of turn 4, just a little miscommunication. They had been checking up significantly over the last half lap or so, Blake, before that contact ensued between Caruth and Vargas. Fortunately, all the drivers here involved, all non-playoff drivers for the most part, apart from Vargas, who is luckily able to escape, and now it's going to make the fight for the lead a lot more interesting. Barry, the leader, bringing a couple of drivers in for pit service.
You do have to think about the major playoff implications in that move as things have settled out, and finally some calm will befall the Daytona International Speedway, if even for only just a couple of moments. I don't think it's going to be long-lived, Jacob, because guess what happens right after this as we go back green? This is right around that fuel window that these drivers, we saw some pit on 33, we saw some pit on 34, 35 laps. This is cutting it close for a lot of your front runners on whether they can use this tank and go all the way to the end.
It's cutting it close, Blake. I think they're going to need another caution or two to make it to the end. You also have to keep in mind, though, the possibility of green-white checkers. Yes, I know, no fast repairs. We may not have enough cars running at the end for green-white checkers, but it's always a possibility at these plate tracks. You can never rule it out, and we'll just have to wait and see. By the way, I just want to update Ryan Vargas. Remember, he was in that crash. I don't think he had any damage. 14.5 seconds in the pit box, and he is out. He's P4 on the racetrack right now. You see the four-leaf clover? He has some luck on his side tonight. Well, I can't believe he got through that without a lot of damage.
There are a couple of cars who are unable to escape with damage. You have James Bickford, Ronnie Osmer, who had the dreaded meatball flag, and again, no fast repair to fall back on as a crutch, as these drivers will be forced to fix the extent of their damage, which typically is about at least 8 minutes or so, is what they'll have to sit through and kind of suffer through on pit road while they get these cars fixed. We'll see this time around. I'm curious if anybody's going to come down and top off for fuel this time around, as I believe we'll get the one to go signal this time. And there you have it. A couple of cars going to make their way down pit road to get those last couple of drops of Sunoco Racing fuel into those race cars to try and get all 33 laps by the time we hit the green flag once again to the end of this race. Interstate batteries are built to top industry standards, and they have been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers around the world, as well as 200 all Battery Center franchise stores, Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every single day. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable and proud partner of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, presented by Interstate Batteries. Blake McCandless on the call with you here in the booth. We have Kenneth Bueno in turns 1 and 2, Jacob Hitz in 3 and 4, as well as Eric Eastep, a part of our Monday Night Racing coverage tonight on Podium Esports. It is the second race of the Season 6 playoffs, and we are looking to determine if anybody is going to be able to lock their way into the round of 8, or perhaps a non-playoff driver gets it done here at Daytona. You can see our grid rival matchups here on the left-hand side of your screen. Just a quick reminder to see how those matchups are faring throughout the night, those head-to-head matchups, as well as where our favorite is, you can see Garrett Smithley right there at the top of the board. He currently runs in the 26th position. Going to have to make up some spots as your favorite if he wants to go to victory lane tonight. Pace car's going to pull off. It'll be 33 laps to go. You can see the green flag in the air. We just have to wait for Barney to wave it. And there he goes. 33 circuits left around the Daytona International Speedway as Connor Berry gets a little bit of a jump, about a car length above Justin Melillo and Adam Cabot, who's found their way at the front of the field.
Luckily, Justin Melillo and Will Rogers, the 53 and the 7, do a nice job of catching up to Berry before they enter turn 1. That's a big defect of having such a huge jump as the leader on the restart, but it looks like the lead will change hands immediately at the exit of turn 2. Pair of playoff drivers, Jacob. Adam Cabot, Ryan Vargas going for the lead.
Vargas drops down to the bottom. How about Mark Robillas? He's taking over P3. He drops to the bottom, second down there. He pushes Vargas to the lead. Cabot drops back to third. Now he's under pressure for that spot. Connor Berry peeking to the inside.
You could say a picture-perfect scenario for Mark Robillas, winless in his Monday Night Racing career, looking to go to victory lane for the first time. He may be able to do it tonight at Daytona, but right now he's side-by-side for second. Here comes Adam Cabot with a lot of momentum from Chase Cabry.
And despite only having 2 cars blick on that outside lane, they have such a huge run to the guys on the bottom. Now here comes Connor Berry. He'll move up a lane. He'll block Dale Tanhart's run on the outside. And now here comes Justin Melillo to fill the space, make it 3 cars on the bottom and roughly 4 or 5 on the outside.
Tanhart drops back to the bottom side now. Anthony Alfredo was surging. He made a third line up on the outside of the racetrack. Alfredo back on the lead lap, storming toward the front. He's now P6 on the racetrack. Vargas peeks to the outside. Cabot, your leader. Here's Vargas to the top.
Vargas goes up. He'll slide up in front of Chase Cabry. Big momentum there on the top side. Vargas will have it at the stripe as we start lap 60. Ryan Vargas, Chase Cabry, and Connor Berry, top 3.
Ryan Vargas will move to the inside lane. Will Chase Cabry follow? He was about to, but got the door shut by the 17 of Adam Cabot, who fills the gap. Connor Berry going to help the 39 at the exit of turn 2. Ryan Vargas not going to elect to block, and Anthony Alfredo bringing the 3rd car in that outside lane to the front.
Here comes Chase Cabry. Hit the wall earlier in this race, trying to take it back to the front. He takes over the race lead. Not quite clear of Vargas. He's storming back on the inside line with help from Cabot. Wheel to wheel off corner number 4.
Thought they would be formed up a little bit more here at the front of the field, Eric, but you can see a long line of cars there on the bottom. I think with all of these drivers still wondering if fuel mileage is the question, are we going to see too many cars trying to defend and try to stay up here at the front? Because obviously the further forward you get, the worse your fuel mileage is.
I know one driver who is on the offensive right now, and it was just mentioned in the chat by Tyler Sanchez. Anthony Alfredo is already up into the top 5. He was a lap down before that previous caution came out. So certainly going to be some varying strategies, but right now there's some key drivers laying it all on the line.
One of those drivers is Chase Cabry, who is cleared down to the bottom side. He slices his way down in front of Ryan Vargas, and here comes Vargas once again. Contact made, back down to the bottom. Cabry blocking both lanes as Connor Berry goes side by side with Ryan Vargas. A sketchy moment there in the tri-oval. Here comes Connor Berry looking for the top spot.
That was heaven sent Blake for the 0-2 of Connor Berry, who looked for the race lead in the middle of the trial and now does it again. Entrance turn 1 and now exit turn 2. Even out at the exit of the 31 degrees of banking. A big shove from Anthony Alfredo in the 33, but Jacob, they are still gridlocked on the back straightaway.
Side by side at the front. Cabry on the inside. Connor Berry on the outside. Alfredo giving help to Berry. Vargas giving help to Cabry. Will any driver give an inch? The answer is no. The 39 pokes its nose out in front. He leads off the corner.
Connor Berry has been up here at the front all night in the pride of Menifee, California. Will go to the top spot, but not quite at the stripe. Just gets edged out by Cabry by 12 1/1000ths of a second. The 0-2 looking to gain it back.
And it's Chase Cabry, by the way, the Tampa, Florida native. Blake looking to defend on his home turf with a California native right behind him and Ryan Vargas to assist. Here's on board with Matt Stolnick in the 41, finally breaking his way back into the top 10. And Chase Cabry gonna let the whole field by on the apron.
Almost looked like he got loose coming off corner number 2, or maybe a tap from Ryan Vargas. Nonetheless, Cabry drops from the lead to the back, maybe in an effort to try and save some fuel. Connor Berry leads him around to the outside. Vargas storming back on the bottom, help from Cabot. He's a car length back.
There are 6 cars lined up, 5 on the top side of the racetrack. The bottom has strung out, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Jacob. Fuel mileage amongst what these drivers are thinking about, but Connor Berry's certainly not. He goes to the race lead.
He has nothing to lose. He's not even running for the playoffs this season. Caber going to fall back to the latter half of the top 10, P9, where he sits. And then you got to question whether it's the same concern for Ryan Vargas, whether it's the same concern for Cabot or Sora in the mid to the top 5.
And how many drivers are just willing to push their luck thinking we'll get a caution? We didn't get one in that early stint, and it burned Colin Fern pretty good. We'll see what these drivers decide to do. Vargas charging on the inside line. Berry running up on the top side off corner 4.
Oh, and Berry gets a little loose. Alfredo shoving him with all of his might. Another driver that does not have to worry about the playoffs is that second car on the outside line, the Logitech Chevrolet of Anthony Alfredo. Presley Sora and Adam Cabot, though, they definitely have playoffs on their mind.
And we always talk about the philosophies, Blake, of those non-playoff drivers versus the playoff ones running for the championship. How aggressive are the non-playoff drivers, because they have nothing to lose. They're looking, most notably, a lot of them for their first wins in MNR, and they're being very aggressive right now with Connor Berry holding out at the front.
Several drivers.
And don't look now. Those drivers in the back of the field, Blake, sorry, those drivers in the back of the field are starting to work together. Some playoff drivers in this. Joey Padgett amongst them. Gary Sexton, Reed Wilson starting to pick their way through the single file and push their way to the front.
And you have to wonder if it's starting to get into worrisome time for them. They need the track position. They need to make it on fuel. There is so much to balance if you're one of these drivers at the front of the field. Berry, Alfredo, and Vargas, your top 3.
And look at the run. When you get on the outside lane, that's led by your pole sitter, Gary Sexton, and it turns 1 and 2. He got together with Joey Padgett and the 66 of Reed Wilson, the 2 Team Joyride cars, and Berry goes for the bottom, and Alfredo surges for the lead.
Alfredo got a huge run, got to the outside. Berry wasn't able to make the block in time, and Anthony Alfredo from the front to the back to the front. He leads on the outside line. Lap car ahead, it's Rajat Karuth. He's on the bottom, pinned to the yellow line. We'll see where he goes up off the corner.
And Rajat Karuth 1 lap down. He moves to 2, but he's going to stay on the bottom, and the rest of the field, I don't think they were expecting that, as they slide just high enough to allow them to go 3 wide as Karuth parks it on the bottom. It looks like the field gets by him cleanly into turn 1.
And Connor Berry was about to make it middle 3 wide, decided to be very hesitant about it, backed off, and it checked up that whole lane. Now it breaks open free, the battle for the lead, and here comes DJ Cummings on the very top. The 2 Crypto Autosport cars working together for P1.
Karuth maybe not making friends, but at this point he needs a caution, and he figured, well, if it leads to a caution, it leads to a caution. But right now, Matt Stalbeck in the best seat in the house as far as the playoffs concerned, +4 above the line coming in. He's third on the racetrack.
And Solnek further on back has worked his way, clawed his way up here to the front of the field. 3 wide, a little bit further back. That is Joey Padgett, but no drafting help for him as Stalnek, second car outside lane, looking to get into the playoffs.
And it is going to be huge here, and Joey Padgett has been so close to wins many times in this series. He's going to hook up with Wilson on the outside. They almost about make contact with Josh Slate, who comes up right in front of Rajat Karuth on the back straightaway. And here comes Padgett forcing his way 3 wide.
Another playoff driver trying to get to the front. Here comes that 83 of Joey Padgett looking for the lead. DJ Cummings pushed out in front. They're 3 wide for second. Here comes Alfredo back to the bottom. He'll lead the charge off 4.
3 wide off the corner and nearly into the outside wall. All the way up at the top. Here comes Joey Padgett looking for the race lead here at Daytona as they work around. Starting lap 69, Joey Padgett looks to go to the point all the way up on the top.
And as they go back for turn 1, Blake, this is really the first time that we see teammates work together in tandem, apart from Crypto Autosport. Team Joyride working together on the racetrack. Apart from them, a couple of lap cars up in front. How will they play a factor? They're still 3 wide, and Padgett's going to back out.
Colin Fern merges on the back straightaway and almost causes calamity for the race leaders. He was on the pit lane. I believe the situation for him, he stayed out hoping there would be an early yellow and he would get back on the lead lap because of the wave around. Alfredo leads him around through turns 3 and 4. Cummings leads to the top side.
Oh, and we're going to have a couple of cars, Paget moving down, and they are going to pit here. Joey Paget on the pit road. He has a little bit of help with them as well as, oh boy, have things shaken up here with strategy. So the 83 content with the fact that he cannot make it, and they are going to stop early. So Joey Paget and Reed Wilson make the trip down to pit road. Is there anybody else that is going to join them, Jacob?
We'll have to wait and see. I'm not convinced the way these guys are racing right now, but Anthony Alfredo is still leading the charge. DJ Cummings up on the outside line, had the lead for a brief moment, charging back into turn number 3. Alfredo surges ahead, help from Presley Sora. Sora blinks, he's gone, now he's there. He's a magician on the racetrack.
And it looks like this time around, everybody going to stay above that dotted or doubled yellow line. Anthony Alfredo, Presley Sora, DJ Cummings, and Matt Stallnick, your top 4. They stay out. Lap traffic, though, ahead into turn 1.
It looks like it's going to be George Botfans Jr. at the very top. They almost about made contact, or rather that is Chris Reaver in the number 9 machine. That Fox 8 car at the very top of the banking. He'll clear out of the way of the lead pack. Now here comes DJ Cummings to help from the 41 to curb alongside the 33 for the lead on the back straightaway.
DJ Cummings said, come on, Weaver, you almost gave me a heart attack. Nonetheless, he tries to lead that outside line. Not quite going to make it happen. That bottom side rules supreme on the yellow line as here comes Alfredo with the lead.
Anthony Alfredo off of the corner, but here is a huge run. Change up at the front of the field, perhaps not quite at the stripe, but DJ Cummings looking to go to victory lane here in Monday Night Racing. The eNASCAR Chevrolet looks to take the lead.
And like JID, the 33 of Alfredo is showing muscle when it's flexing time. The Super Speedway king at the moment, at least as far as last season is concerned. The Monday Night Racing Pro Series holds on to the lead for now with help from Sora. And here comes Cummings to retaliate on the outside row 1.
Can that outside line hold it together? We'll see when they get to turn number 3. The answer today so far has been no. And once again, the bottom side, one more car down there, but that doesn't even have anything to do with it. Alfredo way clear for the lead.
And not only are these drivers battling up front, and they are trying to hold on, is Joey Paget and Reed Wilson just a couple of seconds up the road. You can nearly see it in the shot. Those two cars losing time to the race leader, so that early pit not exactly working.
And it's not working just because everybody in front of them is not pitting right now. We saw early on with Robbie Lyons and another car in the middle of the green flag stops. They pitted just a lap or 2 before everybody else did. One car chasing way to the apron. That was Roger Carruth. Might have gotten loose. He's able to save it.
Yeah, he got loose because Colin Fern picked the rear tires up off the ground. That 86, he was shoving him off the corner, and that just got turned him sideways. Fern, a man on the mission, trying to get back to the lead lap. He's third now, pushing the bottom side clear of the top.
Fighting for his playoff life is Colin Fern, trying to get back into the race lead, and like you mentioned, back onto the lead lap. He'll look to the high side of Presley Sora. No drafting help, though, for car 86, but Fern going to go to the front with everybody saving fuel.
Try to see if Fern is successful on his route. He'll have Roger Carruth behind him by a couple of car lengths. It won't work all by himself. The bottom lane going to continue their momentous run to the front. Now here comes the 24. Little shuffle around the top 10. That was Dale Tanhart and Mark Rubilis in the 99.
Raja Carruth now to help the 86 of Colin Fern on the outside of the racetrack. He tries to give him the push through turns 3 and 4. We'll see how it works out, but Anthony Alfredo able to roll on that inside line once more.
Everybody single file aside from Fern and Carruth, trying to make some ground up, and you have to think that this is related to whether these drivers think they can go the rest of the distance on fuel. We saw them aggressive early, not much more with 16 to go.
But also as well, Blake, if you do decide to come down pit road, you have to give yourself enough time to get back up in the running order. Chances are you may pit a little too late, and then by the time you're trying to rebound to the front, it is all too well over this race. So you need to keep that out in mind as well.
Here comes Mark Rubilis to the outside. Fern is clear down on the bottom. He gets a lap back, but Mark Rubilis looking for third, side by side with DJ Cummings, trying to push Raja Carruth on the outside.
And you can see how easy it is that everybody on the straightaway running at roughly 75%. When somebody goes full throttle, it is noticeable. Rubilis goes to the high side. He'll leapfrog a couple of cars. He slots back down in the 5th position.
And you have to imagine as they go back for turn 1, that's a saving grace for Anthony Alfredo, who spent so much time at the front without anybody right in front of him to help with the draft. So he's able to save a little bit of fuel. The 98 and the 10 all in the same mindset. And the 24th Caruth still the lone driver up at the top.
Your leaders are single file. We are inside 15 laps to go. Coming to 14 to go this time by. Alfredo washes up the racetrack, pushes that 24 Sunoco Chevrolet up the hill just a touch as they come off the corner.
And Caruth is doing everything he can, trying to turn up the temperature, so to speak, because not only does he need to get back on the lead lap, he needs a caution to have any chance to try to get back in this one. Fern and Caruth both trying to turn up the temperature here at the front of the field.
And remember the last time we had a caution flag here at Daytona in this race, Caruth was a part of it, got into the rear end of Ryan Vargas, and that was when everybody was bunched up accordion together. Now it's a largely different story. Fern going to swing up to the top of the racetrack, off the banking in turn 2, and here comes Chase Cabry in the back, moving to the front as well.
Here comes Cabry on the outside, trying to join the 24 of Rajah Caruth. Obviously, Cabry thinks that maybe he has saved enough Sunoco fuel that he can make it toward the end. Side by side for second with Sora.
And Caruth's trying to, again, make things happen. He says, guys, you're letting me down more than Todd Bowles' play calling tonight. Side by side, up here at the front, between a couple of lap cars, Alfredo still your race leader.
If Alfredo holds serve at the front of the field inside these final 13 laps from Daytona, he would tie Shane Van Gisbergen for second all-time, and M&R wins. The 98 blinks out for a moment, comes back right behind the 33 as Fern continues to remain out front. A couple more lap cars up in front on the back straightaway as well.
Blake, I feel you. As much as I didn't want it to happen, I guess go Niners next week. Nonetheless, Alfredo out in front, Sora in second, Caruth trying to spoil the party. That lap car on the outside, no dice as Sora blinks again through 3 and 4.
And he's back with a solid connection right there in the second spot, pushing Anthony Alfredo. You have Chase Cabry, nothing to worry about. Locked into the round of 8 is that bright teal number 39 car that you have Cummings. And again, Mark Rebell is still up here in the top 5.
You know what I've noticed, Blake? The 86 of Colin Fern, every time he comes off the corner and off the trial, well, he swings up the racetrack and gives Anthony Alfredo a bunch of free space on the bottom. Is that a possible strategy to at least make it a deficit on the 33's behalf to not save enough fuel?
It's possible, and they're approaching some lap traffic here as well. The 2 cars that pitted a handful of laps ago, Joey Padgett and Reed Wilson, they're going to get lapped in about the next 10 seconds as the field makes their way through turn 3. We're inside 15 to go. Alfredo, your leader.
And we're coming to 11 laps to go this next time by, and whether you can make it, whether you can't on fuel, that is the question. These drivers will have an answer in about 11 laps. We'll see if they can make it with Alfredo still out front.
They make their way off corner number 2. Here's the lap cars on the bottom, then lap cars up top. Alfredo jumped to the outside. There's trouble. Rajah Caruth gets turned. Reed Wilson around. Josh Slate gets a piece. Everybody stacks up to avoid. Justin Melillo has a part of it as well as the field checks up and scatters. One car mowing the lawn through turn 3. Down in the apron, it's a black car. That's Gary Sexton threading the needle. Not exactly sure what happened, but a car got turned in the middle of the back straightaway, and that was the 024 of Rajah Caruth. He got the caution he wanted. Problem is, Blake McCandless, the caution was him.
Not what he wanted, and I think that's just a disagreement over space right there. You could see Caruth, I think, was trying to make a third lane work, and Presley Sora moves up just at the same time. They both go for the same piece of real estate at the right time. And it is obviously tough for Caruth. Sora makes it out unscathed. A couple of playoff drivers don't, but Caruth wrapped up in this second incident of the night. Reed Wilson also was trying to get back in the lucky dog position. I think, according to timing and scoring, could be wrong, I think Brett Baldeck may be the lucky recipient of the lucky dog.
We'll see. We'll get confirmation off of race control Josh Mendoza in the chat in just a couple of moments. But you're right there, just to fight for the same real estate. Two different philosophies and two different mindsets. Carruth just trying to go for the lead, or at least to unlap himself in that case. And then Sora just wanting to get around the Team Joyride duo and get around them cleanly so he can fight for the race lead with Alfredo. So that all happens. You watch here with Nick Olson, who gets around the wreck. That's Justin Melillo, who unfortunately was in it in the 53. I think that's the second time, Blake, he's involved in a caution tonight from Daytona, this time inside. 10 laps to go. And Anthony Alfredo Presley Sora. Looks like Presley Sora is going to stay out. And Alfredo is going to come in, bring a couple of cars in with him.
I think the question is now, Jacob, I think you can make it to the end on fuel. But as we know, this is Monday Night Racing, and this is Daytona. The potential for green-white checkers, I would say, is pretty high. Do they have enough fuel to get through 3 green-white checkered attempts? I would say no. So how much are you going to risk losing that track position versus saving fuel? We see who is willing to stay out. You see Presley Sora, DJ Cummings, Matt Stallneck for their chance to try and go in victory lane tonight. But not as many as I thought we would see stay out. I thought we'd see a couple more drivers take the risk. I'm surprised that we see playoff drivers take that risk, Jacob. I didn't think, if you're Sora Stallneck, the last thing you want to do is run into green-white checkers and not be able to make it to the end on gas.
Unless they think that staying out will work for now. Because we're going to get a restart with what, maybe 6 to go? That gives them 6 laps to crash behind Stallneck and Sora. Then you pit. You have a little less cars on the racetrack. That may open up the window here where they may look like geniuses, but you're right. It's a little concerning if you're a guy that's in the playoffs that needs a good run tonight. You may not be able to make it to the end on fuel if we have more than one green-white checker and you're staying on the racetrack. You have to be uber saving right now.
You do, and I think one driver that may be doing just that is our Toughco in-race reporter in Matt Stallneck, and we get to talk to him just in the midst of crunch time. And Matt, you've kind of made your bed here. You decided to stay out. How's the fuel situation looking?
I feel like we're pretty good to go here. I'm showing like 13 laps to the good, so I think I'm at least good for 1 green-white checkered. I mean, just it's the playoffs right now, man. You gotta pull out every stop, and our track position was too good right now, and I got a teammate up here, so we're gonna go get this win.
I know you and DJ Cummings have been working together quite a lot. Is that something with DJ out of the playoffs that you've really been able to kind of rely on him and know that when you do make these moves in the midst of the pack that you have somebody that's going to be going with you?
1000%. You know, he's a close friend of mine in real life and on the racetrack, and we work great together. So I know I can trust him, and I think we're going to make some magic happen here on this restart.
All right, Matt. Well, best of luck to you here. We'll let you get back after it. Good luck.
Thanks.
So thank you, Matt Stallneck, for talking to us, our Toughco in-race reporter here tonight, as the lights have extinguished on the pace car. Eric, this is about to get wild.
Absolutely. I did see my favorite comment of the night. So we showed that great replay of Nick Olson in the purple 24 sliding through the grass to avoid any contact. MKE Plane Spotting wants to pay him to mow his lawn. So if sim racing, for whatever reason, doesn't work out, I think Nick Olson at least he'll have a paycheck coming his way if he gets in contact with our chat.
Good for them, as looks like the pace car is going to pull off here. We will restart. 7 laps to go. The scheduled distance here at Daytona. Presley Sora and DJ Cummings into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air, and we are back going here at Daytona. Nearly door-to-door for the race lead. Sora and Cummings. Here comes Adam Cabot to push the number 79.
When we talked to Matt Stallneck there not too long ago, he said that he's got his teammate DJ Cummings with them. How does the 41 or the 10 play this game to double up together and ditch the rest of the pack for the win? That inside lane virtually non-existent. Now they'll catch up on behalf of the 27 of Michael Massey, though, even out on the back straightaway.
Here comes that third line, rocketing up toward the outside wall. Chase Cabry is pushing Joey Paget. 5, 6 rows they pass. They are to the lead almost through 3 and 4. Malillo leading the bottom. They're side by side, 3 wide for third.
Bow fans will tuck back into the bottom, but it is all about that momentum in that third lane right now. Joey Paget up to third as they crash further back in the pack. Caution is out as things were just getting good up here. As you can see, the number 66 spun around yet again here on the front stretch.
That was contact with Roger Caruth at the exit of turn 4. You'll see it here. Both of them not significantly running in the draft. On the back end of all this, there's Colin Fern, that 86 machine. But a playoff driver wrapped up in this, that is Nick Olson, that white and purple Chevrolet at the bottom. You see the 66 tag with the 024, comes down the track, slams into the right side of Olson's machine, and Olson again having to mow the lawn on the tri-oval front straightaway. That looks to be, I think that might be some extensive damage on the 24. We're gonna have to officially confirm that, but the 24 again caught up in some mess as he is 26 on the racetrack, and I think, Jacob, offer your confirmation, that is significant damage for Olson. That's going to hurt dearly.
Yeah, that's a meatball flag, and he came over the radio and basically told all the drivers that they don't have any respect for the playoff guys, as that's, I believe, the second incident that Olson has gotten a part of here tonight. The first one, well, I guess mowing the lawn there, avoiding the crash going down the back straightaway. This time around, he gets involved in some contact, and he actually got up to the back bumper and was pushing Raj. Not too kind, 24 on 24 violence under this caution flag, and he is not too happy with Raja Caruth at all right now.
Well, and the reason why is there is a required repair for that 24 car, so he's going to have to sit at least for some time here on pit road, and don't know if it'll be 8 minutes, 45 seconds or anything, but nevertheless for the playoff driver, Nick Olson, tough sledding for him as he actually has to back up to try to get into his pit stall. We'll see what the damage is for the other 24 in Nick Olson. Colin Fern, your lucky dog. And by the way, if you love the racing that you're seeing right now, we would like to remind you that you can sign up for the 5th annual Podium 500. You can sign up today at podiumesports.com for one of the marquee events every year. When it rolls around on the iRacing service, it is a ton of fun. And of course, a lot of prestige on the line as well. So you can sign up today for the 5th annual Podium 500. That is at podiumesports.com.
And what a fantastic event that Podium 500 is. You gather so many sim racers from across the globe who want that checkered flag at the World Center of Racing. It does mean a lot to win a race like the Podium 500. And like we've seen at Daytona, a lot of calamity, but a lot of great racing here with these ARCA cars. You best believe, Blake, we're going to see a lot of the great racing amplified with the next-gen cars in mid-February. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm watching the leaders on the apron, a lot of them saving. So again, these concerns for fuel to make it all the way to the end is definitely looking dire, especially if green-white checkered territory is on the horizon too.
Definitely on these drive our pre-race picks. Who's going to go to victory lane? I'd say as far as how everybody's been running tonight, your pick, Anthony Alfredo, has to be the best of the bunch. Everybody else is spread out. We know a lot can happen here at Daytona, but I got to say, you've been killing it on the picks this year, man.
I just dumb luck. Maybe call it beginner's luck. I'm not sure. I like my Alfredo pick, although his track position right now not the best. I think he'll be row 5 or 6 on this restart, but right now everyone in the chat is relaying where they're watching this race from, specifically if they're watching from somewhere other than Daytona Beach, Florida, but still within Florida. And we've got a lot of fans watching from just about everywhere: Orlando, Tampa, all the big cities, and everywhere in between. So we also had a huge spike in viewership, just over 600 live viewers just tuned in here on the YouTube side of things. So everyone's really excited to see how these final few laps play out, Blake.
Well, for those out in Tampa, I feel for you right now. It's a little rough right now.
Florida's struggling. Miami was out a couple of days ago. Tampa's struggling right now. It's rough. It's tough.
Y'all need to come up north. That's where the fun's at.
It's been a fun season up there. I don't know. A lot of time left. I mean, 1:15 in the second quarter. It's not lost, but not looking pretty.
28-3.
Yeah, there's been larger comebacks in the NFL this year. But nevertheless, our big focus is right here at Daytona. Who is going to make it into the next round of the playoffs and who may be headed to victory lane for the first time here in Monday Night Racing. Lights are off on the pace car. We will restart with 3 laps to go here in regulation. DJ Cummings on the inside, Presley Sora on the outside, and the green flag is in the air here at Daytona. Great start for DJ Cummings. He'll be clear by about a car length, but here comes Joey Patchett. He'll get a run. He has drafting help from Adam Cabot.
And that looming question back to turn 1, Blake, is are we going to see this race head into M&R overtime? A little bit of a sluggish start by the outside. Chase Cabry trying to make it 3 wide already. He'll have help from Adam Cabot in the 17 at the exit of turn 2. The 41 of Stallneck trying his side draft. They're going to make it 3 wide for the lead.
Here comes Justin Malillo with help from Chase Cabry. 3 wide out in front. 3 wide for position number 4. 3 wide behind him for 7th, and on through the field. It's Cummings on the bottom, Sora in the middle, Malillo up high as they come to 2 laps to go.
Could this finally be it for Justin Malillo as he may go to victory lane for the first time in Monday Night Racing? We'll find out here. 2 laps to go. Cummings down on the bottom, Sora pitching it for all he's worth, and Malillo drafting help from Chase Cabry there on the top.
We've seen that 39 go up, down through the running order all race long. Now he's up, and with help with the 53 and the 17, they're going to stall at the exit of turn 2. Could they have the momentum on the back straightaway? They wobble on the inside. Presley Sora dashing through the middle, P1.
Sora trying to go back to the championship once again. He'll get through a big round here if he can survive a lap and a half. Cummings leads down to the bottom. Malillo with a run on the outside. Sora trying to hold down the middle, but DJ Cummings leads the charge around to the white flag.
A slip off of the corner for Malillo. Remember the battle they had back at Indy with Presley Sora, who gets back to the stripe first. White flag in the air. One more trip around Daytona. Interstate batteries, 1 to go. Here comes Presley Sora up the middle, looking for the race lead.
Malillo looking for his first, Cummings looking for his third, Sora looking for an entrance in the next round. They are still leaving 3 wide at the exit of turn 2. Huge one going to build on the 3rd lane. Sora with nowhere to go for the final time on the back straightaway.
Will the pack make it back around? 3 wide, 5, 6 rows deep to turn number 3. Cummings leaning on the bottom. The outside with nowhere to go, led by Malillo. Can Presley Sora hang on in the middle? The squeeze is on. Cummings is clear for the lead off turn 4.
Off at turn 4 for the final time. They touch to the line. DJ Cummings up the racetrack, but Presley Sora clears the pack as they crash wildly behind them, and Presley Sora steals it at the very last moment by 21 thousandths of a second. And you can see the reaction for Presley Sora, who had a lot of points to make up tonight, and he has locked his way into the round of 8.
What an unbelievable win by Sora, who had been strong all night long. One of the most consistent drivers, if you don't count Anthony Alfredo when they makes on the 98. The young driver out of Indiana, Presley Sora, back to the win. And he joins Chase Cabry, Blake, the 2 drivers locked into the next round. The defending champion now with a fire under his belly to get back to where he lifted that Bob Jenkins trophy just 1 season ago. A huge win for Sora as he's going to burn it down on the trial bowl.
The rest of the field we'll look at, and you see a little bit of contact there, a celebratory tap there from George Belfans Jr. as Presley Sora in the Shaq iGear Chevrolet goes back to victory lane, where he has been multiple times this season, and he will lock his way into the round of 8 while doing so. When we get back, we'll hear from your race winner and some others after this here in the next lap 225.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
Back with you here from the World Center of Racing as Presley Sora goes to victory lane and locks his way into the round of 8. And fellas, this is how he did it.
An unbelievable run to the last lap, all of them 3 wide. And guys, we had a question all race long how viable that third lane would be and who would be the drivers brave enough to take it. They were aggressive in these last couple of laps. It felt like that was the only way to get to the very front. Melillo with Cabri and Adam Cabot, they're bringing a couple of cars more, but the focus is in that purple and yellow number 98 Presley Sora machine in the middle, who was able to hold out all the chaos and take the win, Jacob, in unbelievable fashion.
And man, he got a heck of a run off turn 4. I thought it was going to be Cummings to lose, and right there he just gets the run, side drafts a little bit. The problem is that Cummings went to the outside. If he would have stayed at the bottom, I think he would have had the help, but because he lost his drafting partner, that allowed Sora to just go right on by as somebody, I think that was Will Rogers, high up into the air. Huge crash coming to the line, and go figure, as is, well, Daytona tradition, the field crashes into a ball of fire and a blaze of glory coming to the start-finish line.
It's the way they seem to end, which of course, you know, you don't have anything to worry about after you cross the line. And these are the full results. Again, some of the finish is under review, but we can confirm that Presley Sora is your winner. DJ Cummings finishes in 2nd, Justin Melillo 3rd, Joey Padgett is 4th, George Belfans Jr. was 5th, Matt Stolnick is currently scored in 6th, Chase Cabri 7th, Ryan Vargas finished in 8th, Anthony Alfredo 9th, and Adam Cabot, Kenneth, rounded out your top 10.
A lot of quiet runs for drivers 11th, 12th, and 13th. Bailey Turner to start all of that in the number 5 machine. Dale Tanhart in his first ever M&R race this season started 33rd on the grid, ends up P12 on the racetrack, so a huge move up to the field for the 81. Leighton Sabile, playoff driver, had a quiet one from Daytona. We'll see if he can pick it up here at Watkins Glen. 1 week from tonight, he finishes 13th. Garrett Smithley, the winner at Talladega to kick off our Season 6 series. He ends up P14. Will Rogers started P8. He rounds out your top 15 here from Daytona. Case Collenbach rounded out the rear of the field in 38th, and he makes a move all the way to P16 in the final laps. David Schildhaus ends up P17. It'll be 18th for playoff driver Corey Heim, 19th for Ford Martin in the 07, and the 21 Jacob Hitz of Max Kennan, the last one to round out the top 20.
Steve Affont finishes in P21. Brandon Brown, we didn't talk about him much tonight. He finishes 22nd. Mark Rabilis gets to keep his money. He finishes 23rd. Nobody finished with 0 incidents. And, well, somebody will win $200 next week. Robbie Lyons finishes 24th. Colin Fern, he had a rough go at it tonight. He finishes 25th. Michael Massey, his internet went out coming to the checkered flag. He finishes unofficially in the 26th position. Gary Sexton finishes 27th. Brett Baldeck finishes 28th. Raja Karuth, he had his issues tonight. He finishes 29th. Chris Weaver, Blake, rounds out our top 30.
31st was Michael Fisher. Nick Olson finished in 32nd tonight, 6 laps down, and a tough break for him in these playoffs. 33rd was Devin Henry. 34th, Reed Wilson. Connor Berry, 35th. Joshua Slate, 36th. Ronnie Osmer, 37th. And James Bickford, 38th. 37 laps down in this one. But we are fortunate enough to catch up with one very happy driver. Presley Sora has caught up with Eric Eastep.
Presley Sora, man, it looked like gridlock there on the final lap, really that whole final restart, but you managed to get a run through that middle lane. What was your view there, especially coming out of turn 4 on the last lap?
I just told Justin Melillo this. I didn't know what was happening coming from turn 4 of the checkered. I know I was getting moved around a bunch. I was getting hit in the door. I was getting hit from behind. I didn't know where the run was coming. I thought I was going to get wrecked there coming to checkered at the tri-oval, but somehow I got the run. I think Justin gave me a little tap in the right rear and just propelled my car perfectly enough to get past DJ on the inside. And that if I wouldn't have gotten that push from Justin, I don't think I would have gotten the win. So once again, shout out to Justin Melillo for being the GOAT. Justin is the GOAT. We love Justin in this household.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, you need a lot of friends out there. You need people to have your back when it matters most. But winning this race by, I think I heard the The interval was 2/100ths of a second. That's as close as it gets. How big is it to win a race, albeit by inches?
It's really big because last week I got put in a really bad point. So I ran a good race last week, and at the white flag I got turned because the two guys from outside started hitting each other and spun. And I went from it would have been like plus 15 in points to -9. It was that big of a point swing just on the last lap. And I'm not the greatest road course racer in the world. And we're going to a road course next week, so I knew that tonight was really important. And I told my team, I said, we can't be happy with anything below 5th place. Like, we've got to get a top 5, and anything else is not good enough. So I used lessons learned from Brayton Laster this past weekend in his ARCA testing to drive back through the field and get back up to the front. Just like Brayton. Hopefully Brayton won't have to do that next month, because Brayton's going to set the pole, and heck, he may even set the ARCA track record with how quick he is. But yeah, I'm so pumped up. That race was going so well too, the first half, and then at the green flag pit stop, I couldn't see my pit box, like, as in it just wasn't there. My computer graphics aren't the best, so it was legit just an empty pit box, no sign, no guy, no anything. So I slid through it and I lost like 30 spots, but man, I'm happy we overcame it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a huge step on your way to potentially defending your Monday Night Racing championship. So I know Watkins Glen next week, kind of a walk in the park now, no pun intended, but looking ahead to the next couple of rounds, I mean, how do you approach the next 2 weeks?
Well, next week, I just get to have fun next week now. I love Watkins Glen, and I love the Porsche RSR. I may not be fast, but I'm going to have fun racing it. So next week gets to finally be an easy, calm week. I feel like I haven't had one in so long, but so we're just going to take next week as it comes, and then first race of the next round, it'll be right back to serious business, points racing. So, trying to at least get a top 5. I want to win races, and I'm disappointed if I don't win races, but top 5s got me to the playoffs, or got me to the championship for last season. So if I can just stay consistent and just, knock off some good finishes next round, I think we're looking at championship number 2 here.
Absolutely. Well, it's all about winning at the right time. Well, congratulations, Presley, on the big win tonight at Daytona, and good luck next week at Watkins Glen and with the rest of the season 6 playoffs.
Thank you, and I got to give a big shout out to Shack Eye Gear, primary sponsor on the car, and then Mamba Media, the team, and Skybox NASCAR, Roasted Gems Coffee, 213 Simwear, B-Blaze Vintage, the best vintage apparel and retro streetwear there is. Maconi Setup Shop, Cosman for the design. Man, this thing looks sharp. And then shout out to Robert Dorman and James Pike up in the spotter stand and Pitbox. I wouldn't have won it without them. Just like all my wins, they keep me in good shape. So thank you.
Awesome stuff. Presley Sora, winner tonight at Daytona. I believe Kenneth, is standing by with one of our other top finishers. Kenneth?
Yes, sir, indeed. Here with the Traction.gg Ford Taurus of Justin Malillo, who ends up 3rd. We'll talk to DJ Cummings in our front stretch post-race show after an amazing finish. But Justin, I have to imagine the nerves do not change at all. Green-white checkered attempt basically in the final laps. You were running 4th. You end up 1st on that high side. What did it look like from your view?
It was really, really cool to be in the position finally after just a long stretch of just not having the right strategy in some of these plate races. Like, plate races are my bread and butter, and I love this stuff. And just for whatever reason, like the last couple seasons, I just haven't found myself up there where I wanted to be. I found myself where I wanted to be. I wanted to be where Presley was in that middle lane, because I thought that was going to be what was going to win it. The 41, who's probably my main rival in this series now, pushed me up and into the high lane, and that's what we had to deal with. I had Chase Capri behind me, and he was pushing as much as he could out of me, but we just didn't have the help behind us. And coming to the line, I thought if I could just get a little bit of a run and get to Presley's right rear, I might be able to just get there. But it just, we came up a little bit short. But best finish of the season, finally getting a top 5. This is what we should have been doing all season. And it's an incredible feeling for sure.
has to be an incredible feeling for this P3 finish at Daytona. And I want to talk about midway through the race, you got caught up in a couple of crashes, but you ended up again found yourself in a place where you wanted to be in those last handful of laps. How does the reaction behind the wheel change from being involved in a crash and then coming all the way back, typical Daytona fashion, and being like, hey, I've got a shot to win this thing in the final miles?
Well, this Traction.gg Ford Taurus is built Ford tough for sure. It was very durable in the first caution flag that happened. We went up there and scraped the wall as they were wrecking below us. I just didn't want to be in that, so we went up there. We barely got a little bit, no damage whatsoever. The second one, they were wrecking in front of us. I went into the grass. I may have nosed somebody just barely, but I mean, not even a scratch on it. The car was fully 100%, never had a second of damage this entire race until, of course, we crossed the start-finish line. But that was enough to bring it home third, and just an incredible feeling. I mean, these races do get hectic at times, but tonight is what Monday Night Racing is really about. Monday Night Racing is about having good, fun, clean, hard, awesome racing like we had all night long tonight, and that's why I keep showing up every week for races like we had tonight. It was amazing to be a part of.
Certainly is amazing. But Monday Night Racing will go for another new step next week. Porsche 911 RSRs at Watkins Glen with the boot. What are your thoughts on that track for the next upcoming race?
First of all, my home track, Watkins Glen, love going there. Second of all, love that we're running the boot. Always a good time. Porsche, always a great car to be in. Cosman made me a really, really cool one a couple of seasons ago that I can't wait to get back behind the wheel of. We'll probably grab one of my Formula rims and hook that up to the old Fanatec here and try and run top 20. I think a top 20 run would probably be about good. Enough for the number 53 Traction.gg machine. So it's Watkins Glen. It should be a good time. And the boot might throw a couple people off, so maybe we might get a little bit more out of it.
Well, nonetheless, whether it's under the lights here at Daytona, whether it's in the daylight at Watkins Glen, New York, the Traction.gg car always looks stunning with you behind the wheel of it. And Justin, on behalf of our team here at Podium Esports, congratulations on the third place outing here from Daytona. Good luck at Watkins Glen next week.
Thank you, Kenneth.
So Justin Malillo in high spirits, a third place finish here from the World Center of Racing. Blake McCandless.
Thank you, Kenneth. And Eric, I'll just go ahead and throw it right to you. We saw a lot of action all night here at Daytona. Presley Sora gets the win, locks himself into the round of 8 after having to overcome a little bit of a points deficit. But looking forward to next week, Porsche 911s at Watkins Glen. Such a divergence, and I think we'll set up a really interesting scenario with some of these playoff drivers who may not be so comfortable when they get on a road course.
Absolutely. No, we might see different names up front than we've seen these last 2 weeks, especially. But as for tonight at Daytona, I mean, we saw every name up front. It felt like at some point or another, and a race that I thought was paced really nicely. I lost count, or I just didn't keep track, but I think there were 3 cautions, I want to say, maybe 4. But I love that they kept it clean right up and onto the checkered flag, right up onto the finish line. A great race. Congrats to Presley Sora. But this was a fantastic event. And I know the chat, I was keeping a very close tab on everyone watching on YouTube, and the energy, the excitement, they were into it. This was certainly one of the most fun nights. I'll echo what Justin just said. This is certainly one of the most fun Monday Night Racing events that I've been a part of, and it was great being a part of the show with you guys.
Well, a lot of green flag racing, a lot of competitive racing up until the very end, and of course to pair with that, a spectacular finish. I think all in all, a fantastic race here in this Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. So for Ford Martin and Paul Sutton at M&R, Josh Mendoza in Race Control, Gary Sexton and John Theodore at Podium Esports, our camera builder Dougie Beard, overlay builder Michael Hall, Cameron Abernon on social media for us tonight, and our broadcast crew up here in the booth. I'm Blake McCandless saying so long here from Daytona International Speedway. We won't bid you farewell just quite yet. We'll stay on board here with our producer Ryan Bauer, as well as Michael Massey and Brandon Huff with our front stretch post-race show, guys.
Thank you, Blake. Hey guys, once again we are back. Mike, I want to we got a lot to mention tonight, but I want to start with your race because you were telling me, and I saw it. You were having a great night. Probably, arguably, your best night in M&R. And then what happened?
Come on, man. It was awful.
Hey, you said you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I did. I've never been this heartbroken after an M&R race. It's just, it was out of my control, too. I ran up at the front of the pack because so many people kept laying back on that first start. So I was like, I'll just run with the front pack. The wreck's more likely to happen in the back. So I was running like top 10, top 15 the entire race. Okay? There was one point where we had green flag pit stops. I overshot my box and lost half a lap there. Lost the draft there. Had a second pack going on. But then we caught a caution. And as soon as we restarted the caution, I went high. Went from 23rd to 13th just like that. And then was in the mix. Dodged a wreck late. And it just seemed like destiny the way it was all working out. I was 5th on like the second to last restart. It kind of got shuffled there a little bit, but still coming off turn 4, final lap, I was like 10th place. And I was like, I'm finally gonna get my first top 10 of the season. I've had top 10s in M&R before, but it would have been my first this season. It probably would have gotten me in the top 35 points. And it froze. The screen just completely froze. Next thing you know, it just quit. The server quit on me. I was like completely booted out of the server. I am heartbroken. Normally I try to be upbeat and energetic on the show, but that is going to be tough to do after a race like that. I understand you had something similar, but we don't have to get into that if you don't want. But
we could. As Mike Stefanik said, I believe on that modified race, I think he said something like, I don't really have much to say or much nice to say, so I'm not going to say anything at all. We might.
His face said it all. That.
Yeah, his face said it all. My face ain't going to say that tonight, but we're just going to keep our comments to ourselves. But it wasn't pretty. I'll just say that. Tempers did flare, as we saw. But overall, I know you were in the mix of it pretty much all night. The race seemed fun. I know from where I was watching with spotting for Nick, it looked to be fairly clean. I know there were 2 or 3 wrecks, but it looked to be a clean and fun race up front.
Yeah, it was for the most part. I mean, there was 2 cautions on the night, I believe. Maybe 3?
I believe so.
I think it was just 2 though.
I think there were 3, I want to say.
Yeah. But
there were 3.
Yeah. So it was very clean, a very clean race considering. I think what it was the car is a little fishy, and if you do bump drafting and stuff, you're more likely to spin somebody out.
Yeah.
So everybody's kind of taking it cautious, and no fast repair too. So you can't just run up there, crash yourself out, and then have another life to go back up there and crash yourself out again. So it was a very different approach. There was some stupid driving, as always.
Yeah.
People, I believe there was one guy that was 20 laps down who wrecked Devin Henry. And just stuff like that going on throughout the pack. But
yeah,
for the most part, it was a really good race. And at the end, we were going 3 wide for laps at a time, and nobody was wrecking up at the front. So that was cool to be a part of. I felt like I was just hanging on for dear life because that thing was loose. It was a handful, but it was a lot of fun. Fun with
yeah. Listen, I've driven the ARCA car before on super speedways, and I remember the first time they ever came out with that whole you can't bump in the ARCA car, or else you'll spin somebody out. I'll never forget my first official race. I didn't do any practice, and I think I gave somebody a bump, and they spun out. And I was like so confused. I'm like, why did they just spin out? I literally gave them the slightest bump and it was even. And everybody's like, you can't push. And, I expected these ARCA races, honestly, to be boring from that point on, like when they first came out with the update. But honestly, tonight, everybody, for the most part, kept their heads on, really nobody did anything outrageously stupid. You know, and the 3 wide, you know, you had it many lanes deep. It wasn't just, you know, 1, 2 lanes. You raced 3 wide on the last 3 laps, like 6, 7 lanes, car lanes deep. So clean race. A clean finish, I will say, even though there was the wreck in the back, but up front, clean finish, 3 wide. Congrats to Presley, by the way. Presley won again. So he advances to the next round. So that also is another race we're gonna have to talk about as the playoffs, because I don't know exactly what the standings are looking like, but I know going into the road course next week, it's probably pretty tight at the top.
Oh yeah, we got ourselves a cutoff race coming up next week, so that's always plenty of drama, but no drama for Presley Sora and Chase Cavery, because they've already punched their ticket in. But you know, it's one of those deals. You always get the underdogs at super speedways, where they almost pull through with a win. Tonight it was DJ Cummings and Justin Malillo that were the 2 guys that one of them almost won. You know. Yeah, it's too bad. I mean, you're happy for Presley, but he's won a bunch of these. You're heartbroken for those that haven't won this year. So mixed emotions there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know Presley's a favorite everywhere we go, no matter if it's super speedway, road course, short track, intermediate, whatever. But yeah, I mean, the names up front tonight, you know, DJ and Justin both, you know, the underdogs of this league. They both had their share of good runs. We saw Justin almost win that IndyCar race like a month ago or 2 already. Presley actually wound up winning that race too, I believe. And DJ, you know, he's had his fair share of good runs, but, you know, both got top 3s. But I believe that will lead us into our first guest. If he is ready, DJ Cummings, he will be our first guest. There he is. He's just joined us. There he is.
There's the man.
DJ, you got a top 3 finish, runner-up finish. What was it like out there tonight?
I'd say that was probably one of the cleanest M&R, actually probably the cleanest M&R super speedway race that we have ever had. Taking away quick repairs will actually calm some people down, and you know there's always those handful of folks each week that want to drive a little bit aggressive because they know they can, because they always got that quick repair in their back pocket. But when you strip it away from them, they got to race a little bit cleaner if they want to have a good race. But that was awesome. Yeah, it was hilarious how that works. But a hell of a day. I thought I watched the replay back. I had a shot to clear Presley up at a turn 4 there, and I just didn't do it. And I thought that the way it was kind of working was the bottom lane would get a little bit of a run, you get out, and then the middle and the top would come back, and then they would stall out, and then it would come back again. So it was a little give and take there for that, for those last couple laps there on that restart. So I was just going to stick to the bottom, because let all those people up there try and make the moves and wreck themselves out. And maybe we stay on the bottom, everybody wrecks up, we're clear, we get the win. That's the plan. Didn't go as expected, but hell, it was a great 3-wide finish there at the end. Man, if I haven't won a race in 2.5 years, I can't buy one. A lot of times where it's, I kept saying I should win the superlative for worst luck in M&R, because I would always have have a top 10 run just about each week, only to get wiped out by somebody else either being too aggressive or it was just a checkup or what have you. But it was always, I felt like if I didn't have so much bad luck, I might have been in the playoffs. But damn, can't buy a win. It's so damn close. Presley's already won a few. He's reigning champion. I'm like, why are you stealing wins from me, bro? Come on now. But man, that was fun. I enjoyed that. I was like, I'm very, very pleased of how the day went out. Ran very well. So I will take a top 3 and run. That'll bump my super speedway rating up quite a bit, hopefully.
Well, hopefully, I believe I stole all your bad luck tonight. So maybe you're in the clear now. But so you're saying there was no team orders or anything to get Presley into the next round? It was every man for himself.
Presley's on his own now. He's not on our team.
Oh, is he not with you guys anymore?
No. He jumped the second he wins the championship, he jumped ship.
Oh,
man.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, there you go. Mike's learning something new every day.
That shows how much I'm keeping up with things, I guess. But
no team orders there. I'm playoff guys. I want to win.
Oh yeah.
I thought this was the best shot to do it. I mean, I'm a decent road racer. I might have a shot at it next week, but figured super speedways are the spots where your average Joes can beat these pro drivers. But what do you know?
Yeah, you being a non-playoff driver, DJ, how kind of, I guess, tedious do you have to be, or how tedious do you feel you are around those playoff guys compared to let's say earlier in the season when everybody's racing for a playoff spot, you don't have everybody those 12 drivers in. How does it feel now being in the playoffs, especially at a track like Daytona, trying to be mindful where those guys are in the championship hunt?
I don't care. It's
all right. There we go.
It's like, and it was the same way when I made the playoffs the last few seasons. Well, I hadn't made the playoffs now in probably 2 or 3 seasons, but the first couple is everybody races the same way, and it's everybody wants to win. And there will be, I think, the only time I've seen situations where folks will actually be a little courteous of some of the playoff guys is the championship 4 races, but it's everybody's going out there for the same thing to win, regardless if you're in the playoffs or not. So I just go in with the mindset of like, let's have some fun. If we have a good day, we have a good day. If not, it's all right. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and not be mad about it.
I asked a dumb
attitude.
question last time, so I'll follow up with a good question. All right. So when you're there, and you thought you could clear Presley, but is there any fear, like as the leader, that with these ARCA cars being so sensitive, that if you pull up in front of someone and they have a whole head of steam, the bump draft could just end your night right there? Is that going through your head at all when you're kind of throwing blocks out there?
You would think it would, because there have been, I could name quite a few people that have done that, have wiped out the entire field. So I'm more just praying. I'm just hoping for a good finish. I mean, I could have, even if I didn't go up there and throw a block on Presley, and we're still side by side there, going to the checkered, I could still put him in the wall. But where's the fun in that? You want a good drag race to the finish line. You want a good finish. You don't want to put somebody in the wall and then that be the asterisk because you want to race like, oh, you won because you put him in the wall. No, you want to be able to beat him straight up. But it was just a case of I got no help from, I don't even know who the heck was behind me. It might have been Padgett. No help whatsoever from him. I felt like there was maybe a couple inch gap the whole time, and he was almost too afraid to hit me because it would have wiped out the whole field. So and that's what was so difficult with these ARCA cars, is like you bump up too much, the back end just kicks up like this and you feel it. It's almost it's tough to control it at that point, and when you see somebody get swirly like that, everybody else reacts like it, and then it just causes utter chaos. So you don't want to be that guy and throw a block that wipes out the entire field, but I think I'm in the minority where I would try and beat somebody straight up and have a good finish instead of putting somebody in the wall and then they're just like, oh, you only won because you wrecked me.
So in other words, you don't want to do an Austin Cindric in the Daytona 500.
Oh yeah. Did the way I know we all mentioned how the ARCA cars are now with the whole bumping thing, but did it kind of change your aggression level at all tonight? The way I know Mike was talking about the block on Presley you could have put or whatever, but like throughout the entire night, even when you were like in the middle of the pack, did it really change any way you would race a super speedway race? Like, let's say if this was the next gen or the Xfinity car or the truck versus the ARCA car? Did it kind of change anything about the way you race these races?
No, I don't think so. It just changes the way you manage the draft. Obviously, with the next gen cars, you can lock bumper to bumper and go for quite a ways. In those cars here, it's just more you want to get within a couple inches from the rear bumper, and you could still get a good draft on it and gain a few miles an hour to try and get by somebody, no problem. So it just, as far as the race, I guess how you want to go about navigating the race and like aggression level one, I don't think it changes one bit. I think you just have to keep in mind the type of car that you're racing and what the draft package is like with that, and just plan accordingly.
Now, DJ, we like to, when we have a guest come on for the first time, kind of talk about their origin a little bit. I know you're working for NASCAR now, right? And so tell us what exactly you do for them, and then how did you get into Monday Night Racing? Because I know you've been here since season 1. I don't think you were at the first race, but I think you were pretty early to jump on there.
So so I guess we'll two-part this. So the way I got into the motorsport world, so I've been with NASCAR digital media now for, this will be my sixth season coming up. So I work specifically on the operations side of NASCAR.com. So anything that isn't content that you see on NASCAR.com, my team operates. So that's the live race center we do, drive cameras, mobile app, schedules, standings, driver pages, any of those other ancillary pages that you might see while you're navigating NASCAR.com. That's what my group is in charge of, and making sure that that's all up to date with all the right information, and that's looking as best as it can. We just launched our newest design of the site last Wednesday. So if y'all haven't taken a look, here's my shameless plug. Go ahead and take a look at NASCAR.com now, because it looks really good, with some new branding for our 75th anniversary. So that looks really good.
Guys, he's not just saying that. He's not just saying that as an employee. It actually looks good.
Yeah, so it's but the main reason we did the two reasons for the redesign was obviously for NASCAR 75th anniversary, but we wanted to showcase content. We wanted to showcase content better, and make it an easier way to present it for the fans that check on the site every day and read all of the watch and view all the great content that our editorial and our video staff put together. So please take a look at it. It's going to be really good. We're getting close to the Clash, which is crazy to think it's 3 weeks away. But very much looking forward to that. So my origin into MNR. So league owner Ford Martin is one of my greatest friends. We both went to college together up the road at High Point University, and he came to me with the idea of like, what do you know about iRacing? I'm like, I know quite a bit about it. And this is right when COVID had started. It was like I had no rig or anything like that at that point. It was something I had been thinking about for a while, but just had never pulled the trigger on it. And Ford was like, I'm thinking about starting an iRacing league. Would you want to join? I was like, well, if I could get a wheel and pedals, yeah, sure, count me in. So MNR started. It was May 2020. And I didn't get I ordered my wheel and pedals, and I didn't get it in until July. So the first probably the handful 6 races, I was the role of what Mr. Josh Mendoza is doing right now. I was race control for the first 5 to 6 races before I was able to get my own wheel of pedals and join the field. And the first race I entered, which was, I think we did ARCA at Bristol. We did, and I'd go ahead and wax the field, and everybody was like, "Shit, man, you've been holding out on us." And that was actually the first race that we had. That we had Mr. Bob Jenkins call a race. It was him and Landon Castle were doing it on his Twitch channel. So to say Bob Jenkins called your first iRacing win is kind of cool. Obviously, rest in peace, Mr. Jenkins. I thought that was really awesome. So I think I looked at the stats now. I think I'm at either like 85 total starts. I think for MNR, it's crazy to think we're almost at race number 100 for that. So I think when we get to the summer season, I haven't raced every single event like Ford has, but I'll probably hit start 100 towards the back half of next season. So it's crazy to think it's been we're pushing year 3 of how this has been rolling, but it's fun. It's every season it just continues to get better and better with all these folks that are interested in joining and coming to race with us, and the competition just gets really, really good, which means I got to do better.
Yeah, that's the thing. Every year it gets tougher, and that is really cool that you had Bob Jenkins call that first win, because, man, that guy was a legend. We miss you, Bob.
Yep.
But, yeah, so up next, you got Watkins Glen, Porsches, I believe. How you feeling about that? You get any laps on the Porsche?
Pretty good. I always, when we first brought that Porsche combination in, I think it was a few seasons ago, we did Porsches at, I think it was Canadian Tire, and I finished third to two pretty good road racers, James Davison and Will Power. So I think I'll do okay. But if we got guys like Sage Karam or Josh Balicki, all these guys that are have road racing backgrounds, come and enter, forget it. Those guys are going to be so much better than everybody else. So at that point, you just pray for a top 5 or a top 10. I think with the full course layout for Watkins Glen is it's not very difficult. I think it's going to throw. I think for folks that haven't that have just been running the Cup layout the entire time they've had the sim, it's obviously going to be different. Just a little bit with learning the new braking points, including the boot in there. But honestly, it's not very different. Just probably adds another 20 or so seconds onto your lap time. So no, it'll be good. And I think having no quick repairs will bite some people in the butt if they overshoot some corners and go through gravel traps and hit tire barriers and stuff like that. You're not going to have you're going to lose, especially because we only do half or stage breaks at some point during, since most of these races are timed. No wave arounds or fast repairs to save you. So be curious to see how many folks finish this race on the lead lap, but it'll be good. I set my expectations very low because I'm just here having fun. So if anything top 10 or better is a good day.
Yeah, definitely. Well, DJ, thanks for joining us tonight. Glad to finally have you on the show. Congrats on your runner-up finish. We hope to see you in victory lane soon again, for the first time in 2.5 years, as you said. So good luck the rest of the way, and we look forward to watching your race the rest of the season.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, DJ. That's DJ Cummings, runner-up finisher tonight to Presley Soares. He said Presley keeps stealing wins, but he's tough. But DJ's had his share of good runs. He just doesn't have a lot of luck.
Yeah, he's had some top 5s this year. But yeah, like season 1, he was in the championship 4, going for the title. So that does show just the competition's gotten so much stiffer that when he first showed up on the scene, he waxed the field. And now he's got a winless streak. So it's level. But yeah, good to finally have him on. So now I think we just need Ron Capps to complete the crypto. Sweet.
Yeah. We'll see if maybe the rest of the season, if Ron will come on the show, maybe. That'd be cool to have him. But on to tonight's second guest, we have our 5th place finisher, I believe. George. Okay, George Balfons Jr. Hey, George.
How you guys doing?
Good. How's it going tonight? You had a 5th place finish tonight.
As much as I want to be happy about that, I'm not happy about it. We kind of got stuck on the bottom on that last restart, and everybody stayed so tight. The bottom line isn't where you want to be on a super speedway, no matter what. But Joey and I were able to stay pretty locked up to push DJ as hard as we could. and that was really our only. We had no other option. It wasn't, I wasn't gonna try to make it 4 wide and wreck the field. It's where the cards fall, but the best finish of the season. So I'm not really too terribly upset about that. A little bit better, a little bit more stats. That way we get some rankings on the super speedway stuff. Maybe, I guess, but
yeah, we were kind of drafting buddies there for a good chunk of the night.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good that I would have finished right there with you if I had finished. But
if whatever happened with your internet said, I gave you the old middle finger there at the end. That sucked.
I know, right?
And our little backstretch tango.
Hey, we were bump draft. We brought bump drafted to a whole new definition. Set the
that was
scene.
something.
What was it? The second to last? Was it the last caution or second to last caution?
Second to last.
Second to last. You had a track blocker, and I'm looking, and you got Roger Carruth just sitting in the middle of the track. I got the brakes locked up, just coming right at him. George comes flying up behind me and slams into the back of me. I know he's holding the brakes too, and he can't get stopped either. But he hit me just enough to not do a ton of damage, and he spun me, so I missed Raj at the last second.
I think if it were any other car, it would have not ended that way, because the noses of these are such a wedge that it lifted your rear end up. Like, it's just like a bad push, a really hard bump draft. But with these cars, it just kind of gets you out of shape. But I kind of, coming out of turn 2, I thought maybe something was going to happen the way everybody was kind of moving around. So I kind of moved up a lane and then saw him check up. Well, I thought, okay, well, if anything, if I get right behind him, and I like I said, I had him locked up. And then all of a sudden I just ran right into you. I'm thinking, oh shit, this is going to be another guy that calls me a something or other, which the last guy that you guys had on the show, I don't have very nice words for. But
we don't like to hear that.
Well,
that's a rite of passage for DJ though.
Well, not when it's something that he did to himself and gets mad at me. We won't talk about that. He's still got one coming. But
I should talk about that.
So you like beef?
Well, yeah, it's like beef stew, because it's just kind of gone on, I guess. But when we raced the 87s at California, I want to say it was right before Christmas, right before the break. So we come into turn, I want to say it was turn 3, and I was in the middle, and he was up high. And with those cars, it's all momentum based, and so I was in the second groove. There's somebody right underneath me, and he just comes across my nose. He comes down like 4 lanes, comes across my nose, and calls me some very unsavory things. Gets his chat muted, and then leaves the deal. But he talks mad shit. He says something about it's always something with you, this, that, and the other thing. Well, rewind to the very first race of this season. Guess who, when we had COTs at Talladega, who throws it in on the bottom? It's myself and Chase Cabry going into turn 3. We're second and third, I want to say it was. And he just dives it down to the bottom like it's going to stick after a 15-lap run in those cars. It ain't going to stick. He knows that. And just comes right up into us and wrecks us all. And we end up finishing super far back. So I already had a bone to pick with him. And then he does that to me, cuts me off, and then calls me what he did, which I'm not going to repeat because it's not okay. Or it's just not good. But so set the scene for this race. I'm two lanes behind him, and I don't have any choice but to push Joey. And I'm thinking, crap. I like Presley. I like Justin. I like Chase. Like everybody that's around me. I don't know Joey personally, but he's in front of me, and the only way that we have a chance at doing something at the end of this race is to push the shit out of each other. But in the back of my head, and I even said this because I'm still streaming. I said, I really don't want to push DJ to the win here. and he had Presley clear coming out of turn 4, and I thought for sure he would move up and take that lane, and he didn't. And then for whatever reason, everybody got really tight and just speedway racing and it worked out. But Presley got the win, and I was so happy to see that over DJ. Not even gonna lie.
We like the honesty. I mean,
I know. I was gonna ask you if
Go
you're
ahead.
going to Petty this year, because you're sounding a little petty there.
There's been a couple opportunities that I've had to really to end DJ's race, but I don't race like that. I don't like wrecking people. I don't like, running over people. And if I do something wrong, I own up to it. He straight up drove across my nose and called me a "see you next Tuesday," and then left it at that. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, man, I'm pretty sure I bought him a beer this last summer. Like, hello? I don't know. But anyway, I'm off on my soapbox now.
Well, I want to ask you, because I asked DJ the same question, and I'll ask you. You've had your fair share of good runs on the super speedways, and the past few races, we'll say, whether it's Daytona or Dega. And you had another one tonight. Did this race? Did you have to, I guess, change the way you kind of approach the super speedway race tonight because it's ARCA cars, because of the way you have to, work the draft in these things compared to, let's say, a next gen car or an Xfinity car, or even the COT back in the first race of the season at Dega? What did you feel? Obviously the pushing was different, but what kind of mentality did you have to take going into the race, knowing, what you were up against with these cars?
Well, this race in particular, this is the second season that I've been with the Pro Series, and prior to that was last year at this time with the Road to Glory Series. I wasn't in the run. I'm here to take lunch money kind of thing. I don't have anything to lose. I'm sitting now. I think I'm 35th in points, so by all technicality, I'm locked into the series, but or locked into the next race. But these cars, the side draft isn't as important. The top lane isn't dominant. Like if you run against the fence all race long, you're not going to go anywhere. The guys on the bottom can stay organized enough to do enough damage, and the middle lane is going to rocket past you. So there's always, racing 3 wide in these cars is how you ultimately run some of the fastest laps. Whereas with the COTs, if you run 2 wide, you're going to wear your tires out. In the next gens, if you run the bottom, the guys on the top are going to run right past you. So the other main difference is the draft. With these cars, you can be a second back from the main pack and still be in the draft or be a part of the draft. So I think that's why we had such a long run at the beginning, plus not having the fast repair. I think people in the back of their minds knew that any type of issue here, if you hit the wall, if you've got more than 15 seconds of damage, you're not going to have a good day. I missed my pit stall, and I spun out and had to go backwards on pit road. Luckily, I didn't get a black flag in that first green flag cycle because I lost my focus, and I come in with Smithley, Cabot, and Sexton, and pretty soon I'm back in like 28th, 29th. But we had met up. Exactly. We had a good group of people that we were running the leaders down by 0.6 a lap. A second a lap. At first, I don't know who was out front, but they were like we were losing 1.5 seconds a lap. So we flipped it and we got some time up, and then a caution came out, and things just happened to land the right way. And then us wrecking together, if it had gone any other way, it wouldn't have been a good finish for either of us. Well, I say that, pouring a little bit out for you because, well, it didn't work out so good. But yeah,
if you're in the top 35 points and you're like less than 15 points ahead of me, I'm gonna be even more mad because that's
it works that way always. It's gonna, it's gonna.
Yeah. But it was fun. Like, and I think this race was a little. These cars are so much more forgiving. You know, you can be free in the corner a little bit and drive out of it, and you know you can. We were down to saving fuel at the end because if we got the three green white checkers, we were going to be on the very edge, and I knew the guys that were out front the entire time weren't going to be able to save enough because that's how tight it ended up being unless you saved early on and were able to pit that much later. So a little bit of strategy worked out where we were comfortable at the end, where we knew we could just hammer down. But it was just a fun race. You know, there is some stressful points. And there was a lot of kind of ridiculous moves that I've seen get thrown. And that's where I decided the guy that does my strategy, Lee Overton, he does the Agent Inc. Racing stuff. He said beforehand, he said, we're going to the back, staying in the back. Presley and Dorman, they said on Saturday when I was down at the ARCA test in Daytona, we're going to the back, we're staying in the back because we have to be there at the end because they were basically out of the transfer. But now he's locked in, now he's moving on. So it was a survival race, and I think it showed that, you know, the people that took care of their stuff were the ones that prospered at the end, except for you because, well, internet.
Yeah. If it was a 89 lap race, it would have worked out for me.
But you took care of your stuff. You were clean. You were smart. And you almost got a top 10.
Yeah, almost.
No, I did get a top 10.
No, I'm talking about Mike.
Yeah, you went finished.
George, you got a top 5. You had it made the night.
we had a good night. So let's see, where did Vargas finish? Because you were on his rear bumper. He finished P8, and let's see, Bailey Turner finished 11th. Oh yeah, man, you're just boned.
Twisting the knife. You're just taking the knife and twisting it. I mean, poor Mike.
By the way, I had Vargas mad at me tonight.
Why?
Well, so we were 3 wide, and I got pushed up. I was high 3 wide, and I got pushed up into the marbles, so I got loose. So I just jerked it off the wall, and kind of.
You did what?
I didn't touch him. I didn't touch him, but I got really close to touch him.
Oh God!
So he got mad there, and then I don't know why he got mad at me.
Oh man!
I think Vargas was mad at a couple people tonight.
Yeah. He was a little fired up.
we had a couple of tempers flare tonight. I think we all heard that happen in chat.
I watched the replay of the whole deal with Raj and Presley early on earlier in the race, and that happened. That was a thing that happened.
We're not gonna say anything.
Okay.
I said at the beginning of the show because something happened with Nick. And Nick got wrecked because of that whole deal in the back.
Oh,
and, yeah. I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not going to say anything because I spot for Nick, if you didn't know. And I was watching, and I got angry. And Nick got angry, and it wasn't good. But I'm not going to say anything because I got nothing nice to say.
Well, I love Raj, and I've worked with him the last couple years. But, man, I say kid because he's a kid. But
he's a kid.
But oh my God, I do my best to stay away from him at all times in the sim because he's a magnet, and sometimes it's not necessarily being a magnet. It's the give and take that you don't give and take, and I feel like that happens a lot. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
I like that.
Raj was his driver at some points last year in the Xfinity Series. You pitted his car, didn't you?
Yep, I sure did. I pitted for him, and he drove the practice car oftentimes. And Kid he's a salt of the earth kind of guy. But damn it, if I don't want to be anywhere within a 4-mile radius of that man on a sim. Yeah. I've told for the last 2 seasons in the Pro Series here, I've said, "Where is Raj? And get me away from him." And guess what?
Oh man.
We finished typically. I mean, I don't know very many races where I haven't finished ahead of him. He's fast and he's good.
I mean, your best finish is like second though, right? Overall, I think you finished second one race. At Daytona.
I finished second in my very first MNR race, behind Alfredo.
Yep, that was last season. I remember that.
All downhill from there.
And it went downhill from there. You're right. You're right.
You were probably like, oh, this stuff is easy, and the next thing you know, the rest of the season,
last season I was running for the championship.
Yeah.
Like I think I got knocked out in the final round, but I got wrecked by Corey Heim at Daytona in the Mazdas for the road course. And I was upset about that because Corey joined. I love Corey to death, but Corey joined in the playoffs. Well, I couldn't join in the playoffs 2 seasons prior because the playoffs had started and they didn't want people coming in and wrecking the having implications with the playoff drivers. Well, what the shit? Landon Huffman, same thing. Like, and then we've seen where Landon is. Love Landon to death, but
do you feel do you feel like you're any different around playoff drivers this season, not being one, compared to what you were? I know last year, you were in the playoffs. You can afford to be aggressive, take chances because you knew you had to, get to that next round. But now that you're not in the playoffs, how does it feel compared to last season?
I don't really feel like I have to race anybody differently. I mean, this season's a little bit different because I missed 3 races. So I was not there. Actually, it might have been a 4th one because I didn't sign up in time, so they wouldn't let me race. So I missed half the season. So a lot of these drivers, like Joey Padgett, for instance, I've never really ran around him. So this entire season, I've kind of played the conservative game where I've been playing it safe and playing the consideration game. When we went to Canadian Tire, I knew that race wasn't going to be a strong suit. I'm not a road course driver, and that race was challenging. It took me 2 hours of practice before I could put down more than 1 lap on the timer because it's such a difficult track, and they made it the game mechanics or the sim mechanics. Like when you guys know when you touch grass, you were done. Like you were in the tire barrier. So it was not fun, but we managed to do okay in the race. And then towards the end, I just made a couple bad mistakes. But, races prior to that, I haven't had the sim time since this season started. I moved. I didn't have internet for a couple weeks. It's been such a turbulent point in my life where I haven't been able to have the sim time. So my ability to race has kind of pulled back. So because of that, I haven't run people as aggressively. I haven't put my nose in a place where it shouldn't be. And I race drivers with respect. And especially if I know that they're a playoff driver, I'll probably give them the benefit of the doubt. If we're 3 wide and they're 2 playoff drivers below me or one that's trying to make a run, I'm going to lift. I'm going to lift early. I'm going to give them that spot. Because I don't want to be that, quote unquote, that guy. So I just try to race people clean in general. And then if they're a playoff driver, I got a couple buddies that are playoff drivers, and I said actually before the race I said +1 ally, like the old NASCAR Thunder, or +100 ally. Shieldhouse, he's one of my best friends. Presley, he's just a great kid. I met him a couple times on the road. Those people I'd rather help rather than try to make myself look a little bit better. It's not that important to me, and I know it means a lot to them. So try to be the best I can be for them as a non-teammate ally, I guess.
Not a rival.
So, yes, exactly.
Well, hopefully we got some ally points tonight between the two of us.
I think so. Some tandem wrecking.
Yeah, that was phenomenal. I gotta see a replay of that. I'm sure it looks incredible. But yeah, so Daytona. What ARCA team did you go to Daytona with? Are you gonna be in Daytona in February?
The race weekend isn't locked in yet. It all depends on work schedule. But we went down there. I went down there with Venturini Motorsports, and particularly with the 15. Amber, I want to say it's Balkan.
I think it's Balkan.
Yeah. She signed on. I want to say it was like Tuesday of last week, and so they had to get a car ready to go there and test because the haulers left on Thursday. So it was a thrashing week for the people at the shop, but we ended up after all the practice or all the testing and doing a draft run, we ended up P2 on the boards out of 61 drivers, I think it was, that made a lap. So the car was quick. We had a little bit of luck with the way the draft format lines out. It's how things cycle out. In iRacing, you try to build a run coming to the your money lap to get a fast lap. I had the fastest lap in practice for this race because I had a 4,000 yard gap between me and I had somebody behind me pushing. So I was able to rubber band more than anybody else towards the front, and that's how I got the fastest lap. Well, the same thing applies when ARCA does their qualifying at super speedways. They go out there with 5 people, and you try to rubber band as much as you can to get that pole spot. We just happened to work it out where us, the 15, 55, 25, and 20, which is Gus Dean was in the 25, Tony Breedinger was in the 55, Amber 15, and Jesse Love was in the 20. We led the draft at first, and then I think we cycled out after a few laps and we're in the back, so we ended up getting a bigger run. So Tony got the best run and put it up P1. So I think that's the first time ever in ARCA history that ladies topped the front row, the proverbial front row, which I thought was kind of cool. But
yeah, for sure.
No, it's a good deal.
Well,
yeah, so
go ahead. Hopefully I see you down there at Daytona Speed Weeks. I'll be going.
Hell yeah.
Congrats on your top 5 tonight. It was fun racing with you. It didn't work out for me, but worked out for you. I had fun along the way.
Kick your router for me once, Kay.
We'll do.
What do we got? We got Watkins Glen next week. What cars?
With the Porsche, I believe.
Oh my gosh. That's not going to be fun. It's Watkins Glen though, so at least it's a fun track.
He's honest.
I've got an H pattern shifter here, and it's gonna just it's gonna be something.
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. Next week's not gonna be fun for me. But
lots of practice incoming,
or lack thereof.
Well, yeah,
I'll just
that's
accept
probably the
my
case. Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, thanks so much for coming on. Good to hear from you, and hopefully we can see you get some more good runs like this, and be back on here before too long.
We'll try to make it good for TV or something like that.
That's the goal there.
All right, guys. You guys have a wonderful night, and thanks for having me on here.
Yeah. Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
See you.
Thanks. See you. That was George Balfans, P5 tonight. He's quite the character. I will say that.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know where to go in a couple parts because he was just a fire and brimstone mode.
The thing was last season he was on the show. I think it was the week I was gone. I think you had 2 guests. I believe it was yourself, George, and someone else, and the 2.
Gabe Wood.
It was Gabe Wood. Yeah, I remember watching that episode and that was just entertaining because both of them together characters.
Oh, yeah. That's a show idea right there. Get the 2 of them talking racing.
Yeah. You'll be here for 3 hours probably.
Oh yeah.
But
longer than the Dale Jr. download.
Yeah, that's for sure. But let's shift our focus to next week. Mentioned it with DJ and with George. The Porsches at Watkins Glen, and I believe we have some points updates.
Yeah.
As to what the cutoff is like. It looks there. It is. Oh well, yep, there it is. You see that Chase and Presley, they both won the last 2 weeks, so they are moving on. But that cutoff, I mean,
Look at that.
Look at that tied. Corey and Leighton. So that's for 7th.
So
right. So Garrett is 9 out. Colin is what 11.
Garrett's out by 9.
Yep.
Yeah, Garrett is out by 9.
Colin's out by 11.
Think about this. 9 points is not a lot.
No,
it's not a lot. But if one of those guys like Colin Fern or Schildhouse win, then you got Heim and Seville tied for the last spot.
Yeah.
So what happens then? It'll be really close to watch. And then Vargas is only a point ahead of those guys.
And look at Joey.
Yeah, it's
3 points. And then Stallneck, 2 points ahead of that. Even Adam's only 10 points ahead of Leighton and Corey. So nobody really from that 3rd to 10th spot, like that's only 21 points. So really anybody from those positions there, they have a realistic shot of making their way in on points and maybe not needing a win. As for David and Nick, unfortunately, they're more than likely going to need wins, and probably not more than likely, they are going to need wins. But I mean, this points race is crazy right now.
Do we see David or Nick, either of them, winning at the road course next week?
I know both are strong, really, anywhere we go. They're both top 5, top 10 drivers. They'll both have good runs. If we see somebody like a Sage Karam show up, even a Shane Van Gisbergen, if he makes his 1 race a year appearance, or a Josh Bilicki or somebody like that, it's going to be hard to beat somebody like that. Now, if they don't show up, you got a pretty even field, in my opinion, as to who could win that race, just because other than those guys, I can't think. Well, Will Rogers is very strong. He's not out of he's out of the playoffs, but he'll be really strong at the road course as he usually is. But I think it's gonna be a dogfight, honestly. If you don't see any of those road course guys show up, you have a true dogfight on your hands as to who can win this race. And I personally don't know how the Porsche drives at Watkins Glen. I've never driven it. I know in seasons past, especially at Watkins Glen, these races have been fairly sane, I guess you could say. But I don't remember the last time, if ever, that Watkins Glen has been a cutoff race. But I'm expecting, like I said, if none of those 3 guys that I mentioned show up in Bilicki, Van Gisbergen, or Sage Karam, then I think it's up in the air. And it might not be likely, but you might see a winning in. You might.
Yeah, sure. I'd agree with you that, especially the way we saw Sage Karam stomp the field at with Canadian Tire.
Yeah.
So if he shows up, I'd put my money on him, just because he's got that background. Alex LeVay as well.
I forgot about I was thinking him.
Yeah, Bilicki. All these guys. So I think the points are gonna matter a lot. I think Schildhouse and Olsen are gonna need some guys to have some trouble for them to have a real shot. But you never know. That's why they run the race, instead of just let us declare who it's gonna be.
Yeah, I know 30 points is a lot too. They're both 30-something back. Unfortunately, with only I think tonight at 38 drivers, so maximum probably 40 next week, I would guess. It's going to be extremely difficult to do that on points. Like, you're going to need probably a miracle to make it on points, so it's going to have to be a win. It's going to be exciting, though. I'm looking forward to it, and I know all the viewers are probably looking forward to it. I know everybody involved is looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun race. All these cutoff races really are, and it's only going to get better as we get down towards finding out who's going to be in that championship 4 come February, which actually is only a month away, which is crazy to say, but we're getting down to it.
Yeah, for sure. It couldn't be more excited to see who this champion will be. It's still so up for grabs.